Okay, yeah. You know what? I don't, oh, wait a minute, I do have. Yeah. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is convened in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing a notice in the Asbury Park Press on Thursday, January 4th, 2024, the Press of Atlantic City, and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOBM News on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, and thereafter posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices and filing same with the Township Clerk, pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Tuesday, January 1st, 2024. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage.
Councilman Sikosi.
Here.
Councilman Lamb.
Here.
Councilman Loebman.
Here.
Councilman Nivison.
Here.
Councilman Quinlisk.
Here.
Council Vice President O'Toole.
Here.
Council President Coleman.
Here.
Item 5 are the meeting minutes from the regular meeting on May 22nd, 2024.
Move the minutes. Second.
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole? Council President Coleman.
Yes.
Item 6 is the honoring resolutions and presentations. Tonight we have Eagle Scouts Michael Becker from Troop 20, Luke Lauder from Troop 20, and Thomas Miller from Troop 59.
I'd like those gentlemen to meet.
Council President,
I'm
would you
sorry.
take a motion to move the honoring resolutions and presentations?
Make
Sorry
the
about
motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like those gentlemen to please come forward and meet us down in the well, and all council, please join me. And Mayor. Gentlemen, could you please come this way, please? And face the audience, they won't bite, I promise. Since I'm meeting you the first time, I'd like to find out who I'm talking to. So who's Michael? All right, Michael. And Luke? Oh, you guys are in a row. Very nice. And Thomas. Folks, these gentlemen have been through a lot of trials and tribulations in getting to this honor. I think I made it through Cub Scouts. I'm not quite sure, but that was about it. So I know what they've been through. It's a very arduous task, and obviously they've been successful, and we're extremely proud of them, and they're definitely going to be good residents for the Township of Toms River in the future. So let's give them a nice round of applause to start with. I'd like each of them to sort of give us a brief synopsis of the project that they worked on. So, Mike, would you start?
So for my project, I redesigned the Master Gardener's Garden at the Agricultural Center, and I cleaned it out. I took out all the beds, everything. I put in new beds, put in new mulch, soil for the beds, and now it's being used to train interns for the Master Gardeners, and all the food and produce is being donated to local food pantries.
Okay, Luke, you're on.
With my project, I installed 5 bat houses within Double Trouble State Park in order to reduce the mosquito population, to make it more enjoyable to go outside for those who use Double Trouble State Park.
Luke, your turn.
I worked with Hackensack Meridian Health to help create gift boxes to kids who were sick in the hospital for the holiday season.
Also, Councilman Iverson would like to have a word.
I've known this young man since he was a child, and he's been a friend of the family and a fellow scout with my youngest son. And for those who don't know what it takes to make rank of Eagle, it's commitment and perseverance for over a decade. And these guys have all done that. And I just want you to know we're all very proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike, if you come back up, I'd like to give you your proclamation. Again, congratulations and thanks for a job well done. Thomas, I'd like to congratulate you again. Congratulations on a job well done. Last but not least, Luke, come on over. Congratulations. Can you hold up your proclamation? Beautiful. All good? Okay, folks, thank you very, very much. Just to be clear, folks, Councilman Loban had a procedure today concerning his back and wasn't able to participate down in the well. He certainly does wish the gentleman well wishes and thanks them again for their project. So just wanted you to be aware why he wasn't down there, okay?
Council President, may I have the floor?
It's yours.
I'm the municipal clerk of the Township of Toms River, and as such, have the responsibility for the examination and certification of petitions submitted pursuant to NJSA 40:69A-185. On May 14th, 2024, a petition consisting of over 450 pages was filed with my office by a committee of petitioners. The petition contained the following language: petition to protest ordinance that authorizes the lease of the township's animal shelter to the Ocean County Board of Health. We, the undersigned, registered voters of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, hereby request a referendum election and submission to popular vote for the animal shelter ordinance, designated as an ordinance of the Township of Toms River, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the mayor to execute and the township clerk to attest to a lease agreement between the Township of Toms River and the Ocean County Board of Health, authorizing the leasing of certain municipal property pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-14B. Approved on April 24th, 2024. Under the powers of referendum granted in NJSA 40:69A-185, the undersigned voters demand that the animal shelter ordinance in its entirety, with any changes, whether by amendment or resolution by the Township Council, be submitted to the electorate for a vote at a general or special election, with a question to be put to the voters of the Township of Toms River in the form of a referendum. NJSA 40:69A-185 states, if the petition shall be signed by a number of the legal voters of the municipality equal in number to at least 15% of the total votes cast in the municipality at the last election at which members of the General Assembly were elected, the ordinance shall be suspended from taking effect until proceedings are had as herein provided. In the general election of November 2023, 20,523 voters of the Township of Toms River voted, according to the data obtained from the Ocean County Board of Elections, and 15% of 20,523 is 3,079. After my review of the petition, I hereby certify that each paper of the petition has a proper statement of the circulators. Using the New Jersey voter registration system to verify each of the signatures and ensure all who signed are registered voters in Toms River, I further certify that pursuant to NJSA 40:69A-185, more than 3,079 registered voters, which is equal to 15% of the 20,523 voters of the Township of Toms River who voted at the last preceding general election, have signed the petition in question, and that pursuant to the provisions of this statute, Toms River Township Council must, within 20 days, take action to repeal this ordinance, or it will be submitted to appear on a ballot as a question for the voters at a future election. Thank you, Council President. Moving to item 7. Item 7 is an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, County of Ocean, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 477-70, Schedule 12, stop intersections of Chapter 477, Vehicles and Traffic of the Township Code to establish stop intersections at the intersections of Minturn Road and Grover Road and Minturn Road and Foster Road to improve traffic safety for the area. This is a final reading.
Move 7.
Because this is a final reading, there is a hearing on this.
You need to open this up to public comment. Anybody wish to comment on this? Come right ahead, sir. Bill, you have to turn the mic there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. Real quick, at the last meeting, when this ordinance was placed out, I was like, this is a little odd. This is more stop signs. But you know what? I'm not going to question safety. Safety is very important. But there must be a process that the township has. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about how you put stop signs on streets. And so I went about doing it. I went to the police department, and they provided me with the guidelines to put stop signs on the street, which is in accordance with Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. The placement of new stop signs normally requires approval to the township ordinance following a recommendation from the police department and review by the township engineer. And it follows the guidance and it has a list of the guidance. So then I went and I Oprah'd the background to this ordinance, and what I received was a letter from Councilman Lamb on April 22nd to Council Attorney Peter Pascarella and Business Administrator Jonathan Solanas, and it's redacted attorney-client privilege. So I don't know what that says. But then there's a letter from Mr. Pascarella to Justin Lamb and Linda Ohl, who I'm not sure who that is, and basically it does say, Councilman Lamb wants stop signs for the intersections, both Grover and Foster, at their respective intersections with Midturn. Let's get these ordinances drafted and over to Mike for first reading on May 22nd and for second reading at the following meeting in June. Councilman Lamb thanked Peter, and then we were drafted, and they were on for May 22nd. The procedures as set forth were not provided in the file, and the police department didn't have that they did their police evaluation. I think it might be, I'm not going to question that these stop signs might be necessary, okay? Though I couldn't find any incidents, accidents, or any occurrences in those intersections from the police department files. I think we should follow protocol. And if protocol wasn't filed, I think we should not vote on this ordinance, and I think we should go back to the police department and the township engineer and follow protocol.
I spoke to engineering, personally. We had engineering. We spoke to them. We had a number of residents call about stop signs. There's no stop signs there.
Oh, there are
There's
no
a lot of
stop signs. I
children.
agree.
Oh, none. There's nothing
None.
there.
There's none.
Right. Well,
I agree.
During Sandy, there was actually an issue. A few people moved into the neighborhood with kids, young kids riding their bikes around there. It's a dangerous road. Are you familiar with the area or no?
I went down there, and I
Okay,
looked
you
at
don't
it.
go there
Yeah.
frequently, though?
Yeah.
You ride your bike
I don't
that way?
live down
or
there. No,
you ride
I
your
don't.
bike there?
No.
Okay.
I don't live down there. No, but I
Number of
went-
residents called me for about 2 years about this, so it's 2 years coming. And
Well, but it's interesting, though, 10 days after you send an email, it gets done
Yeah, it's great.
without the police department's recommendation or
I didn't
township
need it.
engineering
I didn't
in
need it. I
writing.
spoke to engineering.
Pursuant to state statute, we could pass the ordinance, and then prior to the implementation of the stop signs, we could do the analysis from the engineering department or the police department.
Well, maybe there should be an amendment to that happens. I'm just saying we should follow protocol as protocol is set forth. Thank you very much for your time.
Anyone else? Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move that.
We take a motion to close public comment, please.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got to close public comment first. I apologize.
I'll second the motion to close public comment.
There was a motion made by Councilman Lamb, and it was seconded by Councilman Loebman. All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll take a motion to move the ordinance.
Motion 7, please.
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Just want to let the residents know in the area of Minturn, Grover, and Foster Roads that we've been working really hard for a while to get this, and thankfully we got these stop signs coming shortly. So I vote yes.
Councilman Loebman? Yes. Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
I pointed out to Officer Lamb on several occasions that the police department does have a procedure, sorry, Councilman Lamb, that the police department does have a procedure for deciding whether or not we put stop signs up somewhere. And it's as simple as making a phone call, I'm sorry, as an email to the police department through the business administrator, and they do a study, a quick study. They'll look up quick data to tell you whether or not there's been any incidences at those particular intersections. So until the police do their due diligence, I don't know that we can break the rules and decide which rules we want to break, when we want to break them. So I'm gonna say no until the police department and the engineer do their due diligence. Thank you.
Council Vice President O'Toole? Yes. Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Item 8 is a bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of real property for municipal purposes, appropriating $2 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,904,761 bonds and notes to finance a portion of the costs thereof, authorized in and by the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey.
Move 8.
I make a motion to table this ordinance. I'll second it.
A motion to table the ordinance was made by Councilman Quinlisk and seconded by Councilman Sekozy. Councilman Quinlisk?
The reason why I suggest we table this ordinance is because there's been no due diligence done on the property. I asked for an environmental study, and I asked for the proposed contract agreement between us and the current landowner. The environmental study I got was 20 years old, severely outdated, never submitted to the DEP, never submitted to the state. Some of the issues that came up on that particular study are dated regulations are, I'm sorry, the requirements, the count per million on certain things is, the standards have changed, so that needs to be updated. Before we can bond for this project or even purchase this project, we should really do a full study on the gain that the township is going to get. We're going to spend $2 million just to buy a piece of property that may have some other issues on there, and then we're going to spend even more to put a bulkhead up on this property, and I don't know that we're going to get a substantial gain. Considering, we also need additional parking if you're going to have more park and recreation going on there. We also don't have a written plan of what the mayor's agenda is with this, like what is his plan for this particular piece of property. All that being said, I say absolutely no to the ordinance.
So yes to table.
Yes to table.
Councilman Sekozy?
I want to pick up on Councilman Quinlisk. This money was in the budget, and it says pier. And so it's the same thing, but the previous councilman always voted no on this property, any kind of development, any kind of research on it, and
That's what we're voting on. That's what we're voting on tonight.
yeah.
No development.
All right, Councilman Sekozy,
Okay,
That's the
but
point.
I don't know the plans or
Open
what's
space.
involved into that. Thank you. And so until I know more, I'm voting to table this. Thank you.
Councilman Lamb?
Just want to remind you, Councilman Chakosy, you yourself and Councilman Quinlisk were supporting development. There was a grand plan for a wedding venue in this location, a grand plan for large buildings. We do not support those plans. We're actually proposing open space, and we're proposing access to the bay. It's the river. We are Tom's River, aren't we? We're Tom's River, and we want to be able to access the river. So for those reasons, I vote no.
Councilman Loebman?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no, only because I know that you have to acquire the property first. The township has acquired, I think, an average of $8 to $10 million worth of land in the past and each year. And the reason for that is to get the open land before somebody can put a 10-story building out there and watch the pretty sunsets. So that's my reason for saying no. We should buy the land now. You don't have a plan until you own the property. What's the sense of getting an engineer to do all of the layout and all of the proposals until you actually own the property? You could spend $50,000, $60,000 on development ideas and scopes, but if you don't own the property and if something happens in between and it gets sold, then your $50,000 is out and so is the property. So yes, I think we do not table that and we move on with it and buy the property.
Councilman Iverson?
When I was presented with the purchase of the Tom's River Boat Works, I was definitely on board with the possibility of restoration, repurposing a historic building. You know, we've lost too many historic buildings downtown. But upon closer inspection, I realized it was a tear down, heavily mold contaminated, as Dan had warned me. Since Sandy, it's been closed up. I was there last week, put my nose to one crack, almost lost my breath. That, coupled with the need for new and higher bulkheading to bring the elevation up because it's in a severe flooding area, add in engineering, CAFRA, a host of other considerations we haven't even thought of, and out of fiscal responsibility, I'm going to vote yes to table it until an environmental study is done. It was a marine repair shop. There's got to be some contamination there, so maybe we can just not put the cart before the horse. I'm all for purchasing the property, but I don't want to waste $1,850,000 to buy something that's going to take $2 million to remediate the ground pollution, and then another $2 million in bulkheading to get the elevation up. So let's get our ducks in order.
Just so that you're all aware, the sale of the property is contingent upon a clean environmental study.
All right, well,
So-
let's get the clean study done.
But usually,
Can't we tie it up in a
Guys, I'm sorry, there's a motion on the floor. We need to take the vote.
I vote yes to table, temporarily.
Council Vice President O'Toole? No. Council President Coleman?
No.
All right, the motion to move the ordinance, there was a first by Councilman Lamb before the motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Council President, may I jump in here before we have our votes,
There,
just for a second?
The
So
floor-
I just
The
wanna-
floor is yours, Mayor.
Thank you. There has been an environmental study on the property. The property was, light manufacturing, building wooden boats back in the day. The study came back in both parts as clean. The purpose of purchasing it ahead of time, you have to own it before you invest the kind of money in these studies. Obviously, if there's anything that would need to be cleaned up, we would clean it up. Councilman Quinlisk and Councilman Sikosi both did support private development at the site. As Councilman Lamb said, we don't have a lot of river access. We are Tom's River. And the only access to the river we have is the limited portion in Huddy Park and Money Island as far as public access is concerned. So this would preserve that as open space, as part of the park, in perpetuity for generations going forward. It's a very cheap price, considering it's a half an acre, all on the water with riparian rights. It's a great deal. It's much less money than what it was under contract for before. This was under contract with the Capadagli Development Group before, but they pulled out because I can only speculate, and I won't speculate why they pulled out of the deal, but it's a great opportunity for us to step in. When we ran our election together, we all put out mail talking about making it into a park and into a pier. It's a great opportunity. If somebody else scoops it up, we won't have that opportunity to let it evaporate. So I just asked the council, and I give my word that I will make sure that environmental studies are done, updated environmental studies as they would have to be done. It would have to be done, and we
Excuse me,
actually...
Mayor, just one second.
Yes.
If you're going to call out, I'm going to have you removed from the room. So please, let's have respect.
As our attorney said, they're part of the purchase agreement. We would have to have it done. So if it is not clean, once we enter into contract, we can pull out and/or determine whether we want to clean it up. So as far as putting the cart before the horse, as Councilman Nivison said, this is the way you do it. You enter into contract, and then you make the determination at that point, but you can't make that determination before you have a contract, and we can't have a contract without a vote of the council. That's all I have. So, Mr. Nivison, I would just respectfully ask for your support, please, on this. I know we've discussed it. We will have an opportunity to pull out should something not be clean, and you have my word in public here that we would pull out if the costs exceeded what we could handle. That's all I have, Council President.
Mr. Coleman?
Go ahead, Jim.
Council President, I'm sorry, there's a motion on the floor there's a first and a second.
That was for the tabling?
I have a first and a second.
That was voted no.
Okay. So we did have a motion? Okay.
Yes, I need to take a roll call vote on this.
All right, go ahead.
Motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
I just voted no to table it, okay? I'm not against the idea, okay? I was never brought into this. It was never discussed to me, anything. So how in the hell can I vote on something that I don't know what's going to happen to the property in the future, what kind of development, is going to be open space, are there going to be jet skis there, a rental, anything? I know nothing. So how can I vote on it? So I'm just going to abstain.
Councilman Nivison?
I will vote yes, because I want to see it preserved.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you very
Councilman
much.
Quinlisk?
All right. The mayor who just gave you his word that he's going to do something, also gave you his word he's not closing the animal shelter. How'd that work out? Now, it is fair. Secondly, if we can't afford to keep the animal shelter open, how can we afford to buy a piece of property for $2 million, and then without having our planning engineer or anybody else review a plan that could easily cost us another $3 or $4 million to do, aside from any contamination, to bring the grounds up to a usable area. In other words, the bulkheading has to be replaced, the docks have to be replaced, and the bridge to South Tom, what's it called, a pier to South Tom's River has to be put in. I don't know how that's going to work. So you can't spend this money on a pipe dream.
Jim,
do some homework.
Jim,
come up with a plan.
Can we have your vote? I think we understand.
Talk to your planner.
Jim,
and talk to the people. And I suggest that what we do is have a summit on this with Mark Mutter, because I'm sure he'd have some input on this thing. So I propose that we make a summit about this rather than voting hastily.
So what is your vote? What is your vote, Jim? What is your vote?
What do you think it is? No.
Okay.
Council Vice President O'Toole? Yes. Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Item 9 is an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, authorizing the acquisition by purchase of Block 668, Lot 1, 1 Robbins Parkway, as shown on the official tax map of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, for the purchase price of $1,850,000. This is a first reading.
Move 9.
Second.
A motion is made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Council President Coleman. Councilman Lamb?
Vote yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Abstain.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
I thought we just voted on this piece.
For the bond itself.
It has to be,
okay,
it has to
okay,
be two
okay,
votes.
yes, yes, then.
Councilman Quinlisk?
don't get me wrong, folks, I'm all in favor of open space, definitely in favor of open space. This is a rateable property. We should let private enterprise do this thing. If you're going to build any structure on there, it's got to be raised at least 5 or 6 feet above grade. There's a lot more going on than just buying this property. It's going to cost us a lot more, and if we're about saving money, this is not the place to do it. All right? I vote no.
Council Vice President O'Toole.
Yes.
Item 10 is a resolution of the governing body, Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, for certification of the annual audit for the year 2023.
Second.
A motion is made by Council Vice President O'Toole and seconded by Councilman Lamb. Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council President Coleman.
Yes.
Moving to the consent agenda, all matters listed under the item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion 11. Second.
Yes.
A motion-
I also need to open this up. If there's any item in the consent agenda that the public would like to have voted on separately, please make that known, which number you would like to have voted on separately. Yes, sir.
Oh, come on. Jeez.
Did you happen to take the time and read the resolutions?
Opening so that you do not remove the consent agendas for approval in one blanket so that each and any one of the council members can have a discussion of them. That's the reason I'm doing it in a procedural.
It's not an
manner.
appropriate, it's
So
not
I
an
can no
appropriate,
longer comment.
it's not an appropriate way to do it, sir. You have to, specifically, what resolutions would you like taken off? Other than just naming,
If anybody up there would like to discuss it, since I can't. Put this to your attention before, a little bit later, I'll give you the code of your municipal code that you said that the public no longer has a right to speak. And I
Well, if you
put
look
the
at-
code for you, I'm going to give it to you. I want you to read the code.
I've read it.
and tell me
I've
where
read it many
I
times.
can't speak. This has gone on. People have been allowed, the public to speak on consent agenda.
Gives you the
items
ability to
for the
remove-
history of this town.
it gives you the ability to remove items from the consent agenda for a separate vote. It's not for a discussion. It's-
Right.
It's crystal clear.
Then why do I get to remove an item?
Because you may want to have a you may want the council to vote on
But
it
just
separately.
naming all the items is not an appropriate way to do it.
No, it's not.
So if you have any particular items you'd like removed, let us know.
Yes, please.
All of them, if anybody chooses to discuss it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Point of order, can I approach?
You can't speak to the resolution.
Point of order.
Oh, but I want to
This
know,
is-
do you have
this
a
is-
resolution that you would like to held for a separate vote? That's the easy question.
What this council approved on January 1st, 2024 as part of the rules for meetings.
Yeah, you can address that during public comment, sir.
But it applies to this.
You can address it during public comment. Right now, we want to know about particular items from the consent agenda that you would like removed.
But you're making a point of order. Violating your own rules.
Excuse me, you're not recognized, sir. You're not recognized, sir.
1 minute to explain it. Give me 1 minute.
You can address it during public comment.
Right now, the question is, what resolutions would you like the council to consider for a separate vote?
Comment period during the consent agenda on January 1st.
Phil, please.
In the rules.
Phil, please, what resolutions would you like to have voted on separately? And by the way, if you have other questions to look at, you're more than welcome to contact administration or the offices, come in for a meeting, whatever, that you would like to have a discussion. But right now, we're asking a simple question. What resolution would you like the council to vote on separately? That's the question right now.
The point is you're violating the resolution from January 1st that you made yourself. That's the problem.
Okay, thank you. I will ask one more time. Are there, yes, sir? D and F? Okay. Any other ones that you'd like to have voted on by the council separately? Yes, ma'am. Did you say F? Oh, S and Sam, okay. Could you slow down just 1 second, please? Okay, you said S, what was after that? Okay.
Can't hear it.
What was that, CC? BB, okay. CC, DD, and EE, correct? Okay. All right. May I have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda?
We get to pull off anything?
Sorry?
Allowed to pull off anything?
I'm
We
sorry.
have to, huh?
I'm sorry, you're right, Jim. All right, do you have some resolutions you'd like to vote on separately, Jim?
Yes, we're
Okay.
supposed to. You're supposed to offer that
I-
up to us, right? Right?
I
I'll just make sure I'm in order.
No, you're in order. I apologize.
That's right, that's right. I'd like to pull off K, DD, and FF.
Okay.
DD was already pulled off.
DD, which may or may not have been pulled off. I couldn't hear her.
And FF.
DD was pulled off.
Okay.
And which one?
Okay.
FF?
Council, any other ones?
I'd like to pull off BB.
BB was already pulled off.
Oh, I thought it was DD.
No, BB and DD.
Both, Jimmy. Up to- all right.
Sorry.
Anyone else? Sorry, let him go. Okay, then may I have a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda? Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. A motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda, not including E, F, K, S, V, BB, CC, DD, EE, and FF. Am I missing any?
Can you run that one more time, Mike?
E, F, K, S, V, BB, CC, DD, EE, and FF. The motion was made by Council Vice President O'Toole and seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loban?
Yes.
Councilman Nibison?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Okay, then we will start with Resolution E, discussion.
That was your item, Ken.
Oh, I just wanted you guys to put your names on it, since you guys are against marijuana. I wanted to say.
There is no discussion. Peter?
Yeah, there's no discussion, it's just a vote.
Can I sign that twice?
Okay, then we need a vote on, I'm sorry, a
Motion
motion
E.
to approve Resolution E.
Second.
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loban. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loban?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Nibison?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Moving on to Resolution F.
Motion F?
Second.
Wait. F?
Any discussion before we motion? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lamb.
Motion F, please.
Second.
A motion is made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loban. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loban?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Nibison?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. I believe if I have my notes marked correctly, the next one is Resolution K.
Okay.
Any discussion by the council?
Yeah. The question I had for that one is exactly how much do we plan on saving by switching to this newer vendor?
Didn't you go to the agenda meeting? Were you there or no?
I don't think they give a dollar amount, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
They were switching to regular gasoline from a county cooperative, so it'll be the difference between that. And this was the road department and sanitation that asked for this.
Yeah.
We haven't been getting our gas deliveries on time, so it's not only a question of saving by going to regular, it's also a question of having gas for our trucks.
I just,
So as far as the dollar amount, as you may know, when you go to the pump,
That's-
you know, that varies month to month, but traditionally, it's about, what is it, 5% or so
you
less
didn't
than
negotiate
medium grade.
You didn't negotiate an amount, you just said we're going to change to you?
No, we don't
Determine
negotiate. It's a
percentage?
cooperative, so we pay whatever the price is
How much are we
from the...
anticipating that being? You don't
So,
feel we-
anyway, you were at the agenda meeting, you didn't ask any of those questions at that time. I've given you my answer, Jim, and we gave you our answer then.
All right, so-
I have
but
nothing
you're- so
further.
you're saying
Thank you,
you don't-
Council President.
Motion
Okay.
K.
You don't have an amount, is what you're saying. That's all I'm asking.
We don't have an amount at this time, Jim. Okay, calling for a vote?
I have a first from Councilman Lamb.
Motion K, please.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
I'm going to abstain. I mean, I'd really like to understand how much we plan on saving or why the switch. I mean, it sounds like we're going to save money, but
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
I also understand, I was at the meeting, that the current fuel is not going to be available to us, so we needed to make this switch also. So I vote yes. Okay, Resolution S, any discussion?
Move S, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Council President, weren't we going to have discussion?
I asked for discussion, nobody said anything.
Oh, no,
Okay.
I wanted to know what his qualifications are, and have we always had a Township Insurance Fund representative?
Yes, can I
We
can I
have,
jump
and
in, Council?
actually, I can answer.
Wasn't he running the shelter, and then he was running the senior center, and now he's qualified to oversee our insurance?
Council President, there is a motion on the floor.
Hold it, hold it.
Council President, may I jump in and answer the question?
Yes.
Council President Iveson. Council President, there has always been a person that goes to these meetings for the JIF and for the HIF to represent the township and to hear what the representatives of the group insurance cooperative and to vote on behalf of the township. You have to have a representative there. The prior administration used to pay a stipend of $27,000 for that. We pay $5,000. It takes up a good amount of your time. You go, you listen to the meetings, you come back, you report to the administration, and then we discuss how we're going to vote on things. That's always been the process. It's a stipend with a very large range. However, we are at the total bottom of that range. Mr. Chabot has offered to go over there and sit in on the meetings, and it's not exactly easy to find somebody who wants to attend insurance meetings.
Okay, that
So-
was my next question, was how much are we going to be paying him, and that seems reasonable.
Okay, thank you, Council President.
Council President, may I ask one more
Sure,
question? And how many meetings a year? Is it monthly, bi-monthly, or?
Council President, may I?
Okay.
It's every month. There's a meeting every month for the JIF.
Okay, thank
For
you.
the HIF, not as often, but the JIF is every month.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Sekozy, it is your vote.
Yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
sure.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Resolution V, any discussion?
Public pulled that up.
Move V, please.
Second?
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Coleman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Coleman?
Yes.
Sorry, Council President Coleman. Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Resolution BB, any discussion?
Motion BB, please.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made a second?
Me.
A motion made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Resolution CC, discussion?
Motion CC, please.
Second.
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Resolution DD.
That was pulled by me. Just a synopsis. It sounds like it's going to be a good plan. What I don't remember if it was stated in the meeting or not was exactly what we plan on saving by switching over to this firm.
What I heard was we're hoping around $2 million.
$2 million in savings?
Yeah.
Yes, and that would go in the, oh, I'm sorry, Council President, if you want me, I'll jump in, but if not, it's okay.
If I answered Jim's question, I think we'd like to move on.
Yeah.
Motion DD, please.
Second?
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
I don't believe it, but I'll vote yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes, and I'd like to just note that the mayor has met with the union reps and discussed the new plan, and from what I understand, it was well received. So I vote yes. That was Resolution DD, correct? Yeah. Okay, Resolution EE, any discussion?
Move EE, please.
Second.
A motion was made by Councilman Lamb and seconded by Councilman Loebman. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loebman?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Nivison?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes. Item FF, discussion.
I pulled that one off. I tried to find some information on that, and all I saw was a report that, how much people that you asked or that were invited to do this report liked one program or the other. They graded it, which was a pretty interesting idea, and they had a score difference of less than 2% in favor of one party over the other. But what I didn't see in all that was how much are we planning on saving by switching from one billing company to the other, or how much are we going to be able to generate in I don't want to say revenue, but how much money are we going to be able to recoup from using this service over the other?
Okay.
Council President?
You have the floor, Mayor.
Okay, so we put this out. The scoring is part of the bid process. So the percentages and all are there when the companies bid. They see what they're going to be scored on. We had folks from EMS, police, finance, and administration score it. And we basically, I'm surprised you said well, maybe this is a first in Tom's River, but we followed the law as far as scoring these carriers. And as far as savings is concerned, the percentages were basically on par, but this particular company has a very strong history of increasing revenues by being more successful at billing insurance. So believe it or not, oftentimes you get picked up by an ambulance and the billing company doesn't always successfully find the insurer. This company has great success at that. They do approximately 10% of all of New Jersey's municipalities. I believe Manchester made the switch a few years back and brought in an extra $1 million. So the percentages, like I said, are on par, so there's really no visible savings, but there's the potential for a lot more revenue because of how strong their ability is to find the insurer. Again, when you get taken off in an ambulance, a lot of times no one's getting your identification. So that whole process is what they're good at. And so this is why the committee decided to go with this company.
Okay. That being said, and I know the committee did some diligence on this, I found in a brief study brief search that this company's costing us like $110,000 more per year. And you're going to guarantee that we're going to actually recoup far more than that by spending more to get this company? And I also found that the company has changed names several times over the past 20 years or so, which usually you change names because you got in trouble somewhere and you have to start out as something else. I'm not saying that's the case, but I think we should do some research
I would
on
like you to, at some point in time, you could present to me your findings of the study that you conducted. But as far as I know, the percentages are on par, and the change here would be that these folks are more successful. And I've spoken to other mayors, and Brick is using them, Manchester is using them, I believe Lacey and Bayville, and basically wherever they've switched, the township has gotten more money. We're using someone who also, I guess, did a good enough job. It's just we don't receive payment for a lot of the folks who get a lift, and presumably the percentage of insured versus uninsured is significantly higher than what our returns are. So it's worth a try because, as I said, in Manchester, they picked up an extra $1 million. So you pick up $2 million with insurance, you pick up $1 million doing something like this, and perhaps we could avoid another tax increase and give nice contracts to our employees next year because we're in negotiations now. So each of these things will help us to keep taxes flat for residents while being able to help employees combat the impacts of inflation. So it's all, a little here, a little there, Jim. We're going to give it our best. I'd like your support on this, but I have nothing further for you on it.
I've been, involved in fire service where we also bill for something, services like this. We switched a number of years ago to the current provider, and we already made that jump in revenue. We made a substantial increase in the amount of money we've managed to collect. So when you're referring to these other towns making the switch, how long ago did they make the switch? Are we already ahead of that? Are we actually going to receive more money from this company than we were from the one we already switched to a couple years ago? So I think it's like, I would have loved to do a little bit more research on this one, but this is the one that got put on at 5 o'clock this afternoon, I believe, right?
No, sir, you were in the agenda meeting, and it was on in the agenda meeting.
Yeah, I think it came off and then it went back on.
Council President, can move FF, please?
Right? Did it come off and go back on? Am I right about that?
We did discuss it.
But it came off.
You had an opportunity for questions.
Came off.
I gave you my explanation a second time.
You're not answering
I'm not going to answer anything further on that. You could always come and see me. I'm here every
It
day.
did come off and it went back on,
I'm
right?
calling for a vote.
First was made by Councilman Lamb. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Lamb, second by Councilman Loban. Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Loban?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
I'm going to abstain from this one also.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Abstain.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Moving to the reports.
Make a motion to move the reports.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Iveson, second by Council President Coleman. Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
I just want to make a comment about the building permits. Several months ago, I mentioned, wow, the permits are going up and up and up, and all of a sudden, now they're down, 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 and, I mean, you could take it, you could make an argument it's good or it's bad. So it's very strange that it's almost $100,000 down for May. So I vote yes to move
Councilman
the
Lamb?
reports.
Well, Dave, that could be also probably because of interest rates. Also, most people when if you're building a new
I
home.
understand all the reasons.
Well, I just want to
Thank
give you my take, just so I figured
Okay.
you invited
All right.
a response. Also, if you're building homes, you realize that most of the time people pull permits in the spring, they pull permits in the winter, and then all of a sudden that's where you break ground this time of year. It's the best time to start. So, but obviously we're working well down there. The building department is doing a great job, so I vote yes.
Councilman Loban?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
I do vote yes, and I will throw something else in, a caveat. We are facing inflation right now, and a lot of building has stopped. It's not going on. So there's a problem right there.
Moving to the approval of the bills.
Motion to approve bills?
Second.
A motion was made by Council President Coleman, seconded by Councilman Iveson. Council President Coleman?
Yes.
Councilman Iveson?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
So you need to abstain from Bill number 24-03321, also Bill 24-03326, and Bill 24-03371, and yes to the balance.
Councilman Loban?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
I have to abstain for all bills payable to Tech Elevator and to Remington Vernick Engineering. Yes to the balance.
Council Vice President O'Toole?
Yes.
Elected officials' comments.
Okay, as I always do, start from my right, Councilman Lamb.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to let the public know that I met with the the Ortley Beach Voters and Taxpayers Association last week. I was joined by the mayor and the borough attorney, where we heard from the Army Corps of Engineers. They're, again, gearing up for our beach replenishment, and they gave a great presentation, and it was actually a great meeting. We have another one coming up in July, and I know we're joined by the Colucci's who are in the audience. They're doing a great job on the beach. Everybody check out their pollinator gardens. It's coming out really well, nice up there. Also want to thank the Public Works for their swift response after the storm we had this weekend. There was fallen trees, and there's trees in the roadway, and they were all over it. We had some streets outside of my ward that I reached out to some residents and got that taken care of for them. And also on the beach, we had on 4th Avenue today, we had some issues with the entrance, and on 8th Avenue with the Moby mats, but we got that taken care of. So thank you to the Public Works and to our new Director of Recreation, Rick Perrin, who's helping us out with a lot. Just want to wish everybody a happy and safe and healthy July 4th holiday. Nice, that's all.
Councilman Quinlan.
A couple things. First, I want to say, this is the first time since January that we did have a bit of an agenda meeting ahead of schedule, although it was on Monday, so it didn't give a lot of people time to do much research on things, including the public. It was very fruitful, and you can see how much calmer the meeting goes when everybody has some information ahead of time. And then, second of all, I want to ask Ms. O'Toole, Mr. Loebman, Mr. Coleman, and even Mr. Nivison, did you guys also know that the attorney we appointed last meeting for the Ciba-Geigy site was also the same attorney that Mr. Roderick is using for his personal employment problems up in Middletown? Are you guys aware that that was potentially a conflict when you decided that we should hire him as a township attorney?
I didn't think I decided to hire him. I thought I was the one who brought it up, not to hire him.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Because of all the conflicts.
Because of the other conflicts.
He's
Were
also
you aware?
a litigant in natural resources damages themselves.
you're
So
right.
they're representing us for polluting and they're destroying natural resource land, so.
You're right. My apologies.
Big
So
conflict there.
Were you aware of it?
I was aware of it.
Did you say me, Jim?
Yes.
No, I was not.
Were you aware of it that he's being used for Mr. Roderick's personal business?
No.
My understanding was that he had written a letter, and I didn't consider that to be something that was a conflict.
Okay.
That's what I understood at the time.
Other than that, everybody have a great weekend.
Councilman Logan.
No, I have nothing to add.
Okay. Councilman Nivison.
Just want to thank everybody here who's representing the shelter. Thank you for coming out. We're still working on that. The county doesn't want it. Everybody in Toms River wants it. Not one person doesn't want it.
One person.
Oh, yeah, one person doesn't want it. Can't figure it out, Dan, because you told me, you looked me straight in the eye, and you said, we're not going to close it.
Councilman Jacozzi.
First, I want to mention someone's name. I'm sure a lot of you don't know him, but I'm pretty sure most of you might know him, John Camera. He was a very good friend of mine. We go back about 40-plus years. He passed away a little while ago, and we started out together in Seaside Heights, and he was a true public servant. He was such a good man. He was a son. He was a husband. And the most important thing, he was a father. But he was a true leader, and he did everything. So needless to say, my heart is broken, and I love John very much. He was a good guy. So, but to get back to business, thank you. He was a good man, a good man. So, about the boat works, I'm 100% about buying that property with the town. but I'm not in the loop anymore. My opinion doesn't matter. I don't know what's going on, so that's why I abstained from it. But
Dave, you were invited to the meeting.
I told you I couldn't make it. So listen,
It was 4
listen,
days.
listen,
4
listen to
days.
me. Listen to me.
We offered 4 days.
Listen, the past councilman and the current mayor voted against that property several times.
Yes,
He
from
didn't
private
want it
development,
developed.
from private, yeah.
Okay, listen, it's my turn, please, thank you. So, to go back several years, I was just a regular citizen, and when the Wick property by the Mathis Bridge was in foreclosure or whatever, and it was up for sale, I tried to get the town to buy that beautiful property up there with the marina by the bridge and everything like that. And that was a couple administrations ago, and they didn't want to do it. But this property has to be done right for the town, so that's why I abstained. Another thing that's going around in town, has anyone been getting letters unsolicited about buying your houses and things like that? Okay, and we all know where they come from, and stuff like that, and pretty much everyone knows that I own property down on Main Street for over 30 years, say more than 30 years, and now my tenants are telling me since January, people are coming to their businesses and saying, hey, you want to sell your building? You want to sell the property and stuff? So they give them my number, and I tell them no. And then another rumor is open space that we bought in the past on Whitesville Road, like 17 acres. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's in the talk that the town doesn't want to get involved with it, and they want to get out of the contract or get rid of it. So I don't know the details, but that really stinks. So, and to the animal shelter, we have a guy here, I can't see him right now, there he is, that we could break even with the animal shelter and eventually make a profit and do the right thing. So the mayor should give the people, the volunteers, and the workers, and myself a chance, a year or two, to get it going, okay? It can't hurt. And I know with the fees for the licensing, if we enforce that a little bit better, maybe lower the fees down a little bit so people would pay it, that would pay for everything there. So give it a chance. Thank you.
Councilman O'Toole?
No, I better not, because it wouldn't be the right time to do this. I have nothing to say, thank you.
Councilman Nivison has asked for one more turn.
Dan, I just want to ask you. Yes. And I said this to you the first time the shelter thing came up.
Yes.
I said, this could be the biggest win for you or the biggest loss. Let's turn it around, man. Come on.
This is
Seriously.
well.
You looked me straight in the eye. You said, Tom, we're going to do the right thing. You said, Tom, we're going to get a big sign up. We're going to get big signs so people could see it from both ways. We're going to make it the best shelter. Let's just get back to that. Things would go so much smoother.
Well,
the town would be back on his side, wouldn't you?
The town,
come on.
Town is on.
It might take a little bit. It's like, a big fight with your wife. It takes a while.
Tommy, sit down.
Well, since
I'm standing up because I can't see him. I want to talk eye to eye,
true, it's
man
true.
to man.
Council
It's like
President,
I can't see who I'm talking to.
May I jump in? Is this or is it your time for?
It wasn't my time.
Comment. No,
I
I
took
mean,
Lynn's.
No,
well,
Lynn-
sorry.
Lynn
So, as we've said numerous times, the shelter is going to open under county management. They are going to invest in installing all these dog runs, Currently, animals were not getting the proper exercise. The councilman...
They were
Hang on,
getting
Council
exercise.
President,
My
I wanna-
wife was going every day just to exercise
Council
them.
President, Councilman Niverson. Councilman Niverson, I did hear you, and I appreciate your comments, and I appreciate it if you would hear mine. As everyone has heard, it's been written about extensively, the county is willing to take over the shelter. They're going to install dog runs because for a very long period of time, animals weren't getting the proper exercise. Councilman Niverson, you yourself, when you were there with me, noted that the ventilation wasn't good and that they were behind glass doors.
I definitely did not agree with that.
You're right, and you agree, we both agreed that at the time it was not being run well. The county is going to upgrade with all these...
I agreed that it wasn't being run well.
Could I
agreed that the ventilation
I don't want to go
was
back
no
and forth
good.
with you, Councilman. I allowed you to speak to me, and if you want my response...
Just bantering back and forth.
So, if...
I think let's...
You know what, it's been extensively written about what the problems at the shelter are and how they're going to be rectified. I don't need to add any more. As I said, the Asbury Park Press, the Patch, even the Tom's River Times, letters that went to the community, and it's been extensively written about. Everybody knows the position. The shelter will reopen under much better management and with much better conditions for the animals. And you'll all have an opportunity to vote on that at some point.
So for
Thank
6
you.
months, you were the management of it and you couldn't turn it around? You didn't even give it a chance?
Jim,
He's
I
out of order,
I didn't recognize you, Jim. Come on.
There's
All right.
also a concert going on here. I thought I had the floor, Jim.
No, I asked him to make sure you
yeah,
had the
I
floor.
did, but anyway, if it's my turn, I'll finish my public comment, but I don't even know if it's really necessary. I would like to just thank the council for supporting the acquisition of the boat works downtown. It'll preserve that for generations and generations to come. I'd like to thank them for supporting changing health insurance providers. We're sticking with Aetna, but we're going direct to Aetna, and we're going to save $2 million. It's the first time in history that this town has gone with a different broker and attempted to save money, and we saved a lot of money. As far as preservation, I think it's a great idea. We don't have enough river access for our residents, and this will provide that long in the future, and it will preserve that waterfront from future development. As Councilman Lamb said, there were a number of folks on council who supported private development at the site. I think it's better to double the size of Huddy Park. I think it's much better for our residents, and I think it'll be a great attraction downtown. So again, thank you to each of you. For the folks who are at home tonight, there's a concert going on down at Shelter Cove. I just saw some pictures. It's really well attended. If you want to get out there, it's going on until what time? 9 o'clock tonight. They have a Springsteen cover band. We all love Springsteen in New Jersey, right? So too bad we couldn't get the boss himself, but maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. We'd have to save a lot more money first. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your, and thank you, Council President, for the time on the floor.
I didn't get a chance to speak, and I'm going to be very brief. I'm excited about the fact that we can be buying the property that I've been looking at since I moved to Township over 27 years ago and said, geez, I wish we could do something with that property. I want Toms River to get on the map and to draw people down here during the daytime, to spend money and go home, and we don't have to pay for extra resources like busing and garbage and utilities and things like that. So I'm excited about buying that property, and I'm going to ask the mayor in the future, when we start sitting down and talking about plans for that property, to also engage people from the community with suggestions on what we should do there. I think it would be a great thing, okay?
Open space, and it's not going to be open space.
Okay, at this time, do I need to close the comments? Okay. We're going to move into public comments. Before we do, I just want to be clear on one thing. I was criticized for the last meeting for giving some people some additional time and other people not getting additional time. This time, I'm going to avoid the criticism. When the buzzer rings, your turn is over. We move on to the next person, and I want to respect that. Again, I was criticized for it. I heard you. I'm listening. So we will hold you to the buzzer, and you will be finished and give the microphone to the next speaker, okay? Fair is fair. All right. Opening the public for comment. Yes, sir. Come right up. And get in line, please, like I asked last time. Thank you.
Dennis Galanti, 1149 Cherokee Court, Toms River. For the animal shelter, I understand the $1 million that was donated may be going back to the estate. And I also like to know, I never heard anything more about the $1.2 million. There was in the budget a trust fund. What happened to that? Where did that go?
Well, again, I suggested before that if you have questions like that, why don't you give a call downtown and come down and meet
I asked them here.
and find the answers.
No, I don't go there. I come here.
Why?
I ask the
Why?
question.
To go on stage?
No,
Yeah.
I'm honest. I want the public to understand. No matter what you do, you are stifling transparency. You allowed 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Please press on with your
You can
comments.
answer the question.
Press on with
Taking
your
up my
comments.
time now.
Press on with
And
your
the other
comments.
thing that you did that really bothered me, I didn't attend the last meeting. You told Carlos Alvarez to sit down. Was he out of order? Why did you tell him to sit down? Because he was standing up? Isn't that body language? I can stand in honor of someone. I can clap. I can boo. I can.
Sorry.
That's my freedom of speech. Why did you tell him to sit down? What was he doing?
It wasn't his turn to speak, and he was standing up. And
He was just standing up.
No, he wasn't. He was screaming at us. You weren't at the meeting, so how would you know?
I listened to the videos.
All
Come
right.
on.
Stop. Listen. I'll accept your criticism. I'll apologize, and let's move on.
Thank you. Apologize to him, not to me.
Let's move on. Your time is being run.
Okay. Council meeting videos. I don't see him back up. What's going on with that? You all voted, I believe, to have the videos put back up. Now, you are the council. The mayor doesn't have to abide by your request. I did read your code, and there is a lot of procedure involved, but there seems to be no action that you can take to force. So what is your purpose?
You're supposed to be making comments. I think that's the question, right?
You can take it any way you want.
Okay.
Okay, and then I have for Mr. Pascarella, I have both your agenda, your code on consent agenda. I have that for you to read, and I also have the Supreme Court where the one was overturned by the jurisdictional law judge, and then the Supreme Court changed it. But you told me I was wrong. You shook your head at me when I had it here right in front of me, and I promised to give it to you, and so I have it for you, and I will give it to the clerk.
Sure.
All right, my time is up.
It hasn't gone off, but
Yeah.
nothing else to say then.
There it goes. Just in time.
Just right.
I got through without being allowed to discriminate against not getting 3 minutes like was given the last time.
You can hold that mic in your hand if you wish, ma'am. There you go.
Hello. I was here in December. My name's Claire Lynn Rutz. I'm a resident of Toms River, of course. I was chair of the Environmental Commission, which is currently not meeting. If you look on the website, there are no dates for any meetings that have been scheduled for 2024. Back in December, at the end of the year, it was your last meeting, I brought to the attention of the council and the mayor-elect at the time that 4 of the 7 active members their terms were expiring. And so anyhow, that happened, and my hope in showing up last December to speak was to bring it to your attention. And so this problem could be easily remedied. The Environmental Commission was established by ordinance in 2004. It had been established prior to that, but there's not a lack of interest because the 7 active members were attending regularly. We were initiating communication with the planning board. We also would initiate information with the NJDEP. And in addition to that, we were significant in the butterfly and pollinator garden. If you didn't have a functioning environmental commission, we would not have been able to apply for the funds at that time. So right now, bringing forward, it's easily remedied. There are interested people. I have 6 copies of the roster as of December 31st, 2023, and it just shows whose term expired, who is currently, there are 3 members who are current that you could still, call upon.
Ma'am.
But and then I have a copy of the ordinance also, excuse me. The ordinance requires that you have a 7-member body, and they need to meet regularly, and the ordinance will show you that.
President, could I, just,
Yes.
when we spoke in December, and Mr. Colucci and Ms. Colucci are
Yes.
also on the board, I had indicated to you that folks on boards would continue to serve unless someone were appointed to replace their seat.
I don't
Is
recall
that-
you saying that at the time.
you-
Perhaps you said it in a private conversation, but never
No,
officially.
and in an email to the board, and had encouraged them to continue to meet, as all of our boards, planning, zoning, municipal utilities authority, if someone isn't appointed to that seat, the person is a holdover. And that was what I had stated to the members of the board that I spoke to, and I believe I spoke to you as well.
No, you did not.
And you are more than welcome, and it's in writing to Mr. Colucci, you guys are more than welcome to continue to meet, and the folks who are on the board are more than welcome to continue to serve.
Okay,
You'd
and
have to meet
customarily,
about
excuse me
that.
just for a moment, because I just want to say this. Customarily, you would get a letter showing your appointment, and it's official, and then the website would reflect a new meeting schedule. And so therefore, right now, we're in violation of the ordinance. So that's easily remedied. Thank you. I would appreciate that, and if we could get
I think
that
we can
fixed.
fix that, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you so much. Maybe you
Sure.
said it to them. Right,
If
those
Mr.
are-
Colucci would like, is he still in attendance? Mr. Colucci could verify
you.
our conversation. Mr. Colucci, do you have a second that you can come up?
We did have that conversation, and you did say that the board members could continue to meet without being reappointed, I should say. But we have to be sworn in by the clerk. And the only one who's been sworn in is myself, because I was a continuing member. The other ones need a letter from the council.
You mean new folks?
Appointing them again.
New folks? Again?
No, everybody.
Well, when you're
Everybody.
appointed-
Even when I'm on zoning also. I got in the letter reappointing me to zoning. You need that official thing. I'll ask the clerk. That's correct. Am I correct in that?
Well, I just want to point
That is
out,
correct.
I disagree with what you're saying as far as, and was very specific that you guys could continue to serve. I said so in writing, and you can continue to meet. If you stop meeting in December, you're more than welcome to meet now, and if you have other members, we could certainly look at them as far as appointing, but we also would want to consider the people who are there already. So that's something to discuss, but as I had said, I saw no reason to try to replace any of the folks that were on there, and that you should continue to meet.
All that had to be done, Mr. Mayor, was write a letter saying they were appointed again to the commission.
but I may
And then
not-
the clerk would swear us in, and we'd be official.
Right, but I may want to appoint someone else to the board, but in
course,
the meantime, you would continue to serve.
We're not official. It doesn't.
Look, we can take care of it, okay? We can take care of it, all right?
Thank
Sorry.
you. That communication was not given to like Jack
Ma'am,
Ruther.
you're finished. Your
or-
time is
Oh,
up.
I'm
I'm
sorry. I
sorry.
thought you said it was
I'm sorry.
okay.
No, it's okay, but we would like to solve the problem. So Anthony and I did have that conversation, and Ms. Colucci, it was all documented via email. I would encourage you and whatever members who feel they're expired, I would just say that you're not expired. You're not off the board unless you're replaced.
No.
You continue to serve unless you're replaced. I have a right to replace a certain number of
Right.
folks per year. I didn't exercise that right. I figured that you guys would just want to continue to serve.
But Mayor, we can send a letter to the people,
We
right?
can, and
right?
we sort of did via email.
That's all we're asking for.
I hear you.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How you doing? My name is Craig Saltarelli. I live at 89 Cedar Grove Road, and of course, I'm here to talk about the shelter. So back in 2022, and I'm sure Dan's going to bring up, all the stuff that I did back in 2022. I brought up the mold, and there was things that needed to get done, and the management got on top of it immediately. They got rid of the mold. They started exercise logs. They started cleaning logs. So to say they weren't doing anything, you have no idea what you're talking about, because from my understanding, the first time you've been in that shelter was probably recently. But anyway, I'm going to bring this up. We have 99, this is a 2023 census. We have 99,000 residents plus or minus. Of those 35,000 households, we have 17,000 households that have pets. Of those 17,000, 11,000 are households with dogs, which amounts to 14,000 dogs we have in this town. We have 8,500 households that have cats. Of those 8,500 households, it amounts to 15,000 cats. We have 29,000 households in this town that have animals, cats, dogs, etc. So to say that we don't need a shelter in this town of our own is BS. To put this burden on the county is BS. We have the right, and the taxpayers have a right to have our own shelter, to do what we need to do. Don't talk about money. We have the money. The money is simply there. I've spoken to the Pine family, who is extremely disappointed in Dan over here for doing what he did to the shelter, because their family member simply wanted to donate $1 million to this shelter because they believed in the shelter, because they felt that the shelter was incredible. They enjoyed the volunteers. They enjoyed the people that worked there. And all of a sudden, you're going to shut this down on a family whose member died supporting this shelter. And the last thing I want to point out is, as I walk into this room, it amazes me that half the pictures aren't up on the wall, and the pictures that are on the wall, there's no names under the councilman. So how can I be supportive of a council that don't even care that their names are on the wall? So
Someone ripped my name off about 3 weeks ago.
yeah, well, we can fix that. Well, they should be putting it up simply all the time. But
I brought that to the attention. It hasn't been put up yet. I guess I'll have to do it myself.
But the bottom line is, if you're any kind of a man, Dan, you said you weren't going to close the shelter. If you're any kind of a man, you'll let the petition process take its course and do what it needs to do. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jim Cobb, 112 San Diego Road. This is completely different. There was a major hydraulic spill on San Diego Road, Carmel, and Del Monte, and there was an attempt by the Department of Public Works to fix it. As you know, the summer started. These are 3 summer streets. There's kids with bare feet. I want to bring that to your attention. Councilman Lamb, are you the representative of the island?
First I'm hearing about it, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll speak
so
to you after the
I
meeting.
have photos.
I'll come to you after the meeting.
Can we please have the address for the business administrator so we can take care of it?
Where?
The address of where the spill is in front of.
Carmel and.
Who do you want me to leave it with?
No, just, if you say it right now, we're gonna write it down.
All right. It's San Diego Road, Carmel, and Del Monte.
The whole road?
Yeah, every time the machine lifted a garbage can, it leaked all over the road.
Okay, all right, we'll take care of that.
I mean,
All 3 roads?
We were told because of digging that they would be repaved. They were repaved after Sandy. 2 years ago, they were told to repave. Realistically, I don't know how you mitigate the situation. It's an environmental hazard to have hydraulic fuel on the road. Thank you.
Wait, I'm sorry, this just happened, or it happened 2 years ago?
It happened on either Thursday or Friday. Yeah.
Thursday or Friday, all right, thank you. We'll take care of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Irene Watson, Messenger Street. Sorry, it's about the animal shelter again. I'll talk quick. You all know about the Asbury Park press release on July 14th. That's when Councilman President Kevin Gagan and Marie Maruca spoke. They questioned the animal shelter's operations. Craig Setterelli noticed there were mold in the ceiling, that animal shelter was euthanizing bully breed dogs. While there were rescues that were willing to pull these dogs from the shelter, There was investigation needed to be made of the facility and the people running it. Cats and kittens, as well as some dogs, have been transferred to this is from the article, transferred to the Ocean County Animal Shelter to make it appear as though Toms River euthanizes fewer animals. Maruka said part of the investigation into this shelter involves personnel issues that she cannot discuss publicly. Now, this was the thing that I thought was really interesting. Public comments on that meeting, July 13th. Craig Citarelli pointed out the mold and the killing of the bully breed dogs. Ellen Fitzpatrick offered behavior analysis of the dogs. Lori Cohen said dogs and cats are left alone from 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 a.m. Joanne Carr spoke about hiring certified behaviorists. There were no comments regarding the animal shelter made by the councilman or the mayor. July 27th meeting, no action or comments made regarding the animal shelter. August 10th, public comments. Craig Citarelli again spoke regarding the animal shelter, the cash donation, I'm imagining that was the $1 million left, and the locked doors of the facility. I don't know why this $1 million wasn't spent right away on staffing and dog runs. Okay, September 14th, 2022, no action or comments made regarding the animal shelter. September 28th, 2022, no action or comments made regarding the animal shelter. It goes on for the 26th of October, November 9th, November 22nd, December 14th, December 8th. So for all these dog lovers and animal lovers here, where were you for the past 2 years?
They cleaned the place up, that's why.
Were you fine with the fact that...
Clean the place up.
Sir, you're going to be removed from this room. You're out of order. You are out of order.
Can we extend Ms.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Can we
Appreciate
extend
that.
Ms. Watson's time since she was interrupted?
that there were no scheduled...
It's only fair to have some diversity of opinion, and when there is diversity of opinion and people shout over that other person, I think that that's unfair and unreasonable and frankly un-American. So can we please extend our time, Council President?
Let's get back in order. Let's go on. Ma'am, go ahead.
Well, it was not stated anywhere that all the matter was cleaned up and that the animal shelter's problems were taken care of. But there was you were fine that there was no scheduled open hours for the public to come in and adopt an animal. Do you know that is a state law, that animal shelters must be open 2 hours every day of the week for people to come in and adopt animals? It was pointed out that there were no people manning the animal shelter 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You were fine with that? There were no dog runs. You were fine with that? Where were the animal lovers then, not speaking up? And
Ma'am, can we ask you who you're pointing out as you were fine with that? Who are you pointing that at?
People behind me and the people up at the council at those dates, because they were not speaking up.
I don't think anybody was fine with it. They might not have been aware of it.
Okay. There was no, there's also no behavior.
None of us were fine with it, I can tell you that.
Come on, that's
Okay.
not fair.
Well, no, she's
not fair.
still going.
Okay, so again, it is the state law that animals, and thank you to your wife, that animals are let out in dog runs, and that they are, if there's no dog run, that they should be walked for at least 20 minutes. It's state law that an animal shelter needs to be open for 2 hours a day for adoption. I went to the May 8th meeting, and I asked, if you took over the Toms River Animal Shelter, would you follow the Toms River Animal Shelter guidelines of being a no-kill shelter? Their answer was, Toms River Animal Shelter sends us animals that need to be euthanized. And all of those posters that were up for the past few months accused the Ocean County Animal Shelter of being a kill shelter.
Council President.
If the Ocean
Her time
County,
expired.
Time is up.
She's way off.
Ma'am, I didn't hear the buzzer, Mike.
it was,
Hold it up, folks, just a minute. Let me get this clarified, just a minute. Mike, did the buzzer go off?
It did, and then you said she could have more time. You did not specify how much time. I did not reset a timer.
I did not hear the buzzer go off.
Okay.
Sorry, ma'am, you're finished. I'm sorry. You're finished. I apologize for that. I did not hear the buzzer. I'll take the blame on that. I apologize. Go ahead, ma'am.
Deborah Kersey, Bartine Street, Toms River, New Jersey. I'm here to talk about the animal shelter, in case you couldn't tell. So the mayor has repeatedly said he's not closing the animal shelter yet. I ask any one of you to go to the animal shelter and try to go in, because it is closed. It's closed. It is closed. It is not.
Let's not interrupt
animals.
the speaker, please.
Thank you. So,
Go ahead.
the week that the mayor closed the animal shelter, the Ocean County animal shelters were posting. I do homeless animal networking. They were posting on every possible site that they were desperately seeking fosters, rescues, and adopters because they were so overrun with dogs and cats. So this plan was poorly thought out, as it seems that much of what has been happening. All of the dissension or the negative comments are regarding the year 2022. For those of you who are not aware, this is 2024, and there have been marked improvements in the way it's been run. I have been there. I have dogs. I've had dogs my whole life. You do not need to have a dog run. What you need for a shelter animal is for it to be socialized, for it to spend time with people. The fact that what these workers were doing was going out and interacting with the dogs, that helps decompress them. It is very stressful for an animal to be in a shelter, and having that human interaction helps to make them calmer and frankly more adoptable. And so I just want to say that all of the logic or excuses for him wanting to close the shelter are from 2 years ago and not from now. It is not relevant. It has nothing to do with it. I maintain that you have an agenda. You don't like dogs. You don't like pit bulls specifically. I want to know what is going to happen. The Toms River Animal Shelter took pigs, pot-belly pigs, guinea pigs, rabbits, and animals of, other animals. What's going to happen now to those animals because the county shelter does not take it? What's going to happen when abandoned baby raccoons are found and a pest control company is going to go and take them and do what they do, which is kill them? All of those lives
You're done.
that are lost
Ma'am,
are on you.
Your time is finished. Thank you. You can just hand the next gentleman. There you go. Yes, sir.
Bob Tremolin, 109 Messenger Street. At the last meeting, Ms. O'Toole said that the people on the council were getting no respect from many or most of the people in the audience. True. Respect is a two-way street, something that must be earned. It doesn't just come with a title. The people responded to Mr. Roderick's plan for the police department. Look at alternative plans, petitions were signed, ignored. They again responded to plans to close the animal shelter, again, ignored. Other plans were possible, and Mr. Roderick kept changing numbers, as usual, as to the cost of the shelter. Most of you sitting up there have no respect for our concerns. Why should we respect you when you don't enter discussions and continuously regurgitate anything Mr. Roderick says? And just as an aside, 2 meetings ago, Ms. O'Toole, your microphone was on. You asked Mr. Roderick who you should vote for. He responded, vote yes. It wasn't even a question of who was it? It was a matter of yes or no vote. You had no idea what you were voting on, and I suspect that what happened was not even legal. Mr. Coleman, during Mr. Roderick's temper tantrum, the last meeting, when Mr. Roderick began yelling at Mr. Nivison, calling him a sellout, you told Mr. Nivison to calm down. You never said a word to Mr. Roderick. Not one word to Mr. Roderick about his behavior. Result, Roderick throws a hissy fit, as he's done in the past when he doesn't get his way, storms out of the meeting with his toady, Mr. Solanas. I've been to council meetings off and on for over 20 years, many different administrations. Never have I seen such childish, inappropriate behavior by any town official, let alone the mayor. Then there's the voting to hire Mr. Burke to be another lawyer in Mr. Roderick's army of lawyers. Why did Mr. Roderick not mention that Mr. Burke was his personal lawyer in his case against the Middletown School District? Was there a deal made between the two where Mr. Roderick said, I'll get you a $50,000 contract to defend me and let the taxpayers of Toms River pay for him? How many of those of you who voted knew Mr. Burke was Mr. Roderick's personal lawyer? Mr. Lamb, at the last meeting on 2 separate occasions, you told people that you don't work for them. You only work for the people of your ward. I guess when you voted not to replace police, that it was in the best interest of the island people not to have more police presence during summer months, when it was necessary to invoke a curfew to combat vandalism. That's interesting coming from a policeman in the town of Lavalette, which has more officers than 96% of the towns and more police funding than 98% of the towns of their size in the country. In the last meeting, when your residency was brought up, you never said you didn't live on Messenger Court. You said you had many properties.
Sir, your time is up. I'm sorry. Your time is up. No, I said your time is up, sir. You can get back in the line and come forward later.
Ann Landolfi, I rescind my time.
No, you cannot do
Why
that.
not?
You cannot do that. No.
Yes, I
Because you.
Ann Landolfi, 9
No.
St. Lawrence
You can come and
Avenue.
speak yourself. He can go to the end of the line and speak again
Hey,
later.
Bob, this is not because you got fired in Lavalette, was it?
Okay, let's press on. Next speaker. Next speaker. I'm not going to let this meeting get out of control again. Guess what? Take this lady and remove her from the room. Right now. Right now.
Thank you.
Remove her immediately. Sir, gentlemen, officers, please remove this woman. Please. I'm asking you to remove this woman, officers.
Please.
Paul, remove this gentleman also for making a threat, please.
Yes.
Please remove this gentleman, please. He's out of order. He is out of order. You're out of order, Paul.
We're asking.
Excuse me, you had not the floor, Paul. Please ask him to leave.
Yeah.
Leave, now. Now. I'm sorry, I'm the president of the council. I'm not going to let these meetings get out of control. This is not the way to get things resolved. You can laugh all you want, but this meeting is not going to get out of control. We're going to have some respect for each other. And I respect the speakers and their time to speak. And you are on. Yes, ma'am.
Dawn Nivison, 1520 Silverton Road, Toms River. I was not going to come up and speak, but then I realized I'm a constituent too. And I voted. And I thought this town was going to be made better by the vote in this election. But I see hastily made decisions that are against what people want. Mayor Roderick and I talked about the animal shelter and how it was in dire need of help. We agreed a larger sign would help, stay open more hours, allow volunteers again, reduce or eliminate the adoption fees temporarily. In order to help out, I decided to volunteer, and I've been volunteering at the animal shelter for about 4 months. There's nothing wrong with the way it was being run. Under the management of Dave Matthews, it attained no-kill status for the past 2 years. Then somehow all that changed, and the mayor decided he wanted this off his hands at all costs. Despite the successful petition, it was closed in a hasty and sneaky way with no time for staff to prepare. The workers and the volunteers were caught completely by surprise. No one had time to sort out where the animals were going. I guess Roderick just assumed they would all go to the county. The poor county, with their already completely overfilled, overburdened shelters, were supposed to just absorb our animals with no advance notice. Every day, social media for the county states how urgently overfilled they are. That means animals are being put to death. They have to make room somehow. And our mayor and his advisors have all made this happen even more so because they closed our shelter, a perfectly fine, open, running shelter in the middle of kitten season, at a time when all the county shelters are already maxed out. And the county does not want to just step in and open our shelter and put animals in it. They want to spend a ton of time and money to revamp the whole thing. In the meantime, where are all these homeless animals going? They are being euthanized. They are being dumped. Or who knows what else is happening with them. And all because of a hasty decision of one person and a council that continues to back him. Euthanasia rates will be higher this year because of this. All because of an animal shelter that could have stayed open but was closed hastily for no real reason. That shelter could right now be holding dogs and cats. Instead, it's sitting there empty in the middle of a giant crisis of homeless animals. So if this was done for the betterment of the animals, like the mayor said, then that's a joke. There's an old saying that haste makes waste. Instead of making these hasty decisions, leaders should work like an artist or a sculptor who cares about the end result of their work. Shoot.
Sorry, your time is up. Your time is up. Please give the microphone to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President Coleman. Phil Brilliant, 79 Holly Tree Lane. I didn't plan on using my time for this because I actually wanted to be able to speak about other things and hopefully I can come back. But I wanted to go over what I called for point of order before on the consent agenda. On January 1st, 2024, this council approved the rules of meetings, and it approved a 5-minute time limit per person for public comment shall be allowed at the Township Council meeting during both the consent agenda session and the general public comment session. And then, on April 24th, 2024, this council modified that. And the modification says, I'm only going to read that part, for public comment during the general comment period in accordance with NJSC 10.4.12, as well as during the public commented on the second and final readings of ordinances in accordance with another state law, the time hereby is set at 3 minutes. During the general comment period, a member of the public may ask permission of the council president to speak for another 2 minutes only after each member of the public has had the opportunity to speak. What didn't change on April 24th of 2024 was the opportunity of the public to speak on the consent agenda session. I'm quite certain now I'm giving the opportunity for the resolution for the next meeting, but I think it's important to point out that for the past meetings where you have not allowed us to speak, and that was why I asked for point of order before we did the consent agenda tonight, you did not change it. It clearly states your rules, public can comment during the consent agenda session. Okay? I'm quite certain I just bit myself in the you-know-what, but it is important to point that out. I'm going to move on to a couple more things. One is, Councilman Lamb, you made a comment about the new recreation director. However, I have not seen, in accordance with Code 54-4, an approval of a new recreation director. Do we have a new recreation director that's not been approved by this council? Do we?
I don't know. I don't have a clue.
Okay, I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Okay, I also think, you know, so has anybody, Attorney Pasquarella, have you ever watched the State of the Union address? Okay, once or twice. Okay, you're a lot younger than I am. We watch it, And what do we notice about the Supreme Court justices? They sit there and they don't say a word because basically they are neutral in that situation. When it comes to the advisors of this council and the mayor, until the advisors are asked to comment, they shouldn't be commenting. And that goes for you, Mr. Pascarella. Thank you.
Good evening. Sorry about my appearance. I got to work a little late. I just heard you say, Mayor.
Excuse me, sir. Give your name and address.
Oh, I'm
for the
sorry.
record.
Chris Lyle, 980 Fisher. Mayor Roderick, I heard you just say that it's un-American to let somebody speak when you have a 3-minute, what is it, 3 minutes you guys give? 3 minutes, you let the lady go on for 6 minutes, 7 minutes. You said it was un-American to let her speak. You just kicked out 3 people. That's un-American.
Sir,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about something different tonight, though. I know you guys have a tough job. This is my first council meeting I've attended. I watched them on YouTube. You say there's about 16 people, same faces. There's a lot more than 16 people here tonight. But I'm here to talk about something different. On July 16th, a Veterans Hospital is opening up in town. We have approximately 35,000 veterans in Ocean County. These veterans are traveling to Brick, where there's extremely limited resources, and East Orange for services such as hospitalization and psychiatric help. My brother is currently in the Navy, and he's coming home from being in one of the most dangerous parts of the world. With his time in the Navy, he suffered a broken leg, seriously hurt his shoulders, and he suffers from serious anxiety and depression. I'm sure he will be using the services, and I'm asking all members to utilize these services soon that will be offered here in our town. Mr. Lamb, I followed your campaign. You're an American First Republican. I saw your pictures with Trump. You're a police officer. I also saw your wife on Fox News talking about the indoctrination happening in our schools. You sparked my interest. Will you be attending the opening of the clinic?
Of course I will be, yeah.
Well, I recommend you don't. Reason being is your track record for our service members is absolutely disgusting, and
My brother's in Kuwait. My brother's in the Army in Kuwait.
Well, what about Dan Leonard, the veteran that you accused of stolen valor? Okay? He's a paratrooper, and he's a combat veteran. You said he's stolen valor. You attacked this man when he was at a very low point in his life with military service-related PTSD. Our veterans stood in the front lines to defend us. The least you could do is stand behind them. I don't care what any veteran has said politically that you disagree with. What I do with this, what you disagree with, to attack them on their service to this country is treasonous. Tonight, I want to know if you will apologize to Dan Leonard for saying that he has stolen valor.
No.
Well, you're a scumbag.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My family serves as well.
You're a fake Republican.
Robert Burns, 531 Lily Road. In Resolution K, that's the new supplier of fuel that you're going to be getting?
Council President, I believe it's a question about fuel. Would you like an answer?
Is this the only provider of fuel, the co-op?
The co-op is just like the township. We get our fuel without tax at whatever the rate is that it's being sold at from, like, to the gas station. The county cooperative, most towns are in. This was a choice made by the department heads. I support it.
I'd like you to add a modification to that. You should have 2 bidders. You should have a primary and a secondary. If the primary fails, you already have a contract.
I don't think if it's government to government and there's no, like, fee on it, it doesn't apply.
It's always good to have a fallback so that we don't have to scramble. We can just pick up the phone and call somebody. At least have a
We'll look into it. Thank you for the advice.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Some of you remember me from last council meeting.
Could you point the mic up?
Sure.
Thanks.
There we go. Some of you remember from last council meeting. My name is Brian.
Name and address?
My name is Brian. I'm with B2 Consulting Group. I am not a resident of the town.
What town are you resident of?
I'm in Alpin.
Thank you.
So some of you remember me from last week. I consult in animal welfare for the last, I've been in animal welfare for the last 15 years plus. For the last 5 years, I consult physically with shelters, private shelters, government shelters. I've consulted with shelters that service 55 municipalities, shelters that service 1 municipality. Since I was brought into this, there are a number of things that we've seen that could be corrected at the shelter before it was closed. I do have a question for the mayor, if you allow an answer. Before you did close the shelter, what would you say were the primary reasons for closing it?
Sir, hate to interrupt.
ask the council?
It's a comment time, okay? So
I
your
am
comment.
willing to
If you
answer
need
the-
further information, you can always
I'm asking
contact
a
the mayor.
question. I'm not a resident here.
I know, but
I don't mind, Council President, I will answer the question if you don't mind.
I just don't want it to get a back and forth
You could
situation.
use-
I know, as long as it's not a back and forth, would you like my answer?
I will be as respectful as you and anyone else will be.
Sure. You know, as I've said before, there are no dog runs at the facility. As I pointed out earlier, the cages were not, or rather, glass containment areas were not well ventilated. When we took over, as far as the council is concerned and my office, we had been listening to complaints for many years. The facility was totally full. The doors were locked. It was by appointment only at the time. We did make some of those corrections initially. It is state law to have dog runs. We don't have them. Some resident asked earlier about the money and where the money would go and talked about the resident who donated the money. That resident also donated a substantial amount of money to the county as well because she wanted to support the county. The money would go to the dog runs and upgrading the facility, and the county will bring in a vet. We have no vet.
Understood. Can I interrupt you just so I don't lose all my time?
Sure.
So
No, I'll extend your time.
I appreciate that. If
Or
the
Council President will.
If
Go ahead.
anything, the longest the line
Because
got to-
I'm using it, right? So go ahead.
There are certain things that you indicate that are policy things or certain things that are legal things. So what I would recommend to the council and to you, sir, is go to the Monmouth County SPCA. What I would recommend you to look at is their kennel runs. They are exactly the same that you guys have here. There is nothing statutorily that is in your shelter that violates state law.
You're saying that we don't need dog runs?
The kennels that you have on, I will call it your adoption for, those glass runs, are the exact same ones that are in Monmouth County SPCA.
We don't have glass runs. We have glass kennels, but there's no dog run to get to the outside.
There is no statutory mandate for that.
An animal control officer has to enter to get a dog. So when the dog is aggressive.
I understand that. I am a state licensed animal control officer. I'm also a former humane law enforcement officer, so I know that aspect.
Well, you're asking me to go to the Monmouth County ASPCA.
What I'm saying is-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. What I am simply saying is that there's nothing that generally statutorily is an issue with that. Now, to move forward, again, I don't want to take up time, and again, I'll jump back in the line.
Council President, his time is up.
I will jump back in the line. Thank you.
The only thing that I would just add is that, the shelter is not closing. It will be opened up under County Board of Health, who runs 3 other shelters. So I just want to be clear about that this is a misnomer. The shelter needs to be upgraded. It will be upgraded, and it will be opened under county management.
Hi, Dawn Lazar Fradella, 752 Jacqueline Court. Obviously, I'm here to talk about the animal shelter, but more so animal control, because I would like to know with the firing of the entire staff except for Dave Matthews, what the plan is, because I know the decision to bring on A Academy was tabled a couple months ago, but according to Asbury Park Press, we've hired them. So I just want to know what's going on there, because we have 109 calls that have been Oprah requested. The police department have received 109 animal calls in the last 20 days at $200 a pop. If we're only up to $44,000, we're going to spend that in the next 20 days again. So I don't know if I know this is public comment, but I'd like to know what the plan is, because this town is way too large to have everything fall on one man that is not going to be able to handle it, and you guys are basically going to force him to quit. Any response to that? Okay, crickets, that's what I thought, because this is not going to go well.
I would like to just say Dave's doing the best he can.
Oh, I absolutely.
know-
I'm worried about him genuinely.
I am too.
I just don't know how it's feasible.
As someone who works 70 to 80 hours a week, he can do it. And he's going to do it. And we need to help him if we can.
Right, but he shouldn't have to.
He shouldn't have to.
And if the whole premise was that we're saving money by outsourcing stuff, this isn't going to be saving money.
No, we're going to be losing money.
Yeah, we're losing money. We already, if we're, I mean, and again, I'm still
The
wondering.
entire plan is ridiculous.
Yeah, there is no plan.
There is no plan. The shelter should be open right back up. Everybody should just be hired back. Dan, you need to keep your word. This is what the people want. Aren't we supposed to be doing what the people want?
You have. the
Aren't you supposed to be doing what your constituents want? This is what we ran on. I am calm, Craig. I am totally calm. I know, but I have to just continually restate it. He looked me straight in the eye and he said, Tom, we're not going to close the shelter.
Well,
Okay? It's hard to move on when someone lies to you. He lied to me, and I ran with him. I trusted him, and he lied right to my eyes. If I did that to my wife, I'd be divorced.
And just remember, you have his word on the boat works. He said it here publicly, okay?
Dave, you're out of order, Dave. You
Good.
are out
I'm
of,
glad to be out of order.
that's not right, Dave. I respect you, you gotta respect me too, okay? Ma'am, your time is up, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Dawn, I took up your time.
Tracy Barberi, 1118 to Audubon Drive in Toms River. So I'm sad about what I see up here. I've been a resident here since 1986. I'm a Toms River East graduate. I'm a college professor in this town. My daughter is Air Force in Virginia, helping veterans. I am also trained as a veteran provider. I'm a therapist. I'm a mom. I have a wonderful husband in the back. I am grateful and I love this town more than anything. And when I see the tension, the divide that's upon us up here, it scares me and it's sad because we're not going to make change and we're not going to move in any direction if we're not working together. And when we talk about the animal shelter, I ran for 23 years at Community Medical Center, the pet therapy program. And I am also was in charge of it on the oncology and hospice units, okay? Specialize in geriatrics and also pediatric oncology. If it weren't for shelter pets, which I have 7 of them through the last few years I came out of this shelter, all pit bulls, all trained, and they visit the hospice patients in the homes. I work also for Visiting Nurse Association, and the hospital patients, families, staff, because we were able to work directly with the shelters to do this, and under the guidance of Patty Claus, I have to say, I visited that shelter on a regular basis, also Jersey Shore Animal Shelter, also Pumpkin Park, and I will tell you that there could not have been better care for these animals, and I think we're really making a rash decision because we're not working together on this. Mayor, you obviously have a reason for why you feel the way you do about the decision as it comes, but I really think there needs to be more inclusivity. You know, there's a power imbalance here. We need to have more diversity. We have to have more inclusion, more equitable, decision-making, because you guys are sitting up there and we're over here, but this isn't an oligarchy. Like, we're a democracy. Why can't we work together to try to work through this? We need it, please. These animals mean everything to us, and I can speak firsthand. I'll show you the data, okay, about why they are worth it and that we need this shelter in town. Please consider this.
Again, it's a misnomer. The shelter will be in town, and it will be run by the county, and it will be upgraded.
But why
so
the
the whole
county?
thing about it closing
But
is
why
a
is it
misnomer.
closed right now? Because we weren't even able to bring some
Because you
animals
need
there.
to do construction, and you can't do construction in kennels with dogs in kennels. So how do you build dog runs? Every time, and this is the problem that we have, is every time that I go to answer, I've been advised by council president that I should just not answer because people yell out, and you see that there are folks that you're with who are just going to yell out, they don't want to hear the answer. So I apologize, but I'm not going to continue to answer.
So-
But it's a misnomer. You can, obviously, the council president will give you a little extended
Sure.
time. It is a
So-
misnomer. The shelter is not closing. It's opening under county, and it's going to be revamped and reconditioned to be better for the animals. So I don't understand what everybody's here about. They're saying, save our shelter. We are saving the shelter. We're fixing it for the animals and giving it to people who will run it better.
I guess
And
that is probably the question, and we're not going to answer questions, we're going to make a statement. I think that's subjective. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
It's
because
not subjective, it was well documented in the press, and a woman had the courage, Miss Watson had the courage to get up here and read, and now they're going to yell out again. She had the courage to get up here, a conservative woman had the guts to get up here and speak into that microphone and read to you comments from prior meetings from the very people who are protesting tonight. She had the courage to read to you quotes out of the newspaper, and she was shouted down, and she still had the guts to stand up here, despite the fact she's outnumbered 50-1, and they yelled her down. The shelter was poorly run, it was poorly equipped. It's going to be better equipped and better run. We saved that shelter. And I don't care what the unions say or what the former employees say. It's about fixing it for animals, and I don't care what they think. They were the problem. We are the solution on the shelter.
Ma'am.
It is not defamation.
One more time, ma'am, and you're ma'am, one more time and you're gone.
I know my time is up. I would just like to make one more comment, Mayor.
Certainly.
Again, I hear where you're coming from. I hear from your own frustration, okay? And we also stand here with our frustration from a different angle. Again, I would just like to propose that perhaps we could do something called positive deviance, where you think that those who are in the community don't have answers or solutions, or at least interventions. I think we could all work together to try to figure it out so it meets the needs of all the animals. And I would love to be on that committee and be helpful with that if I can. So whatever we can do,
You'll be able to go to the shelter and volunteer as soon as they open back up.
I have done that for a very long time.
After the construction is done.
All right, let's move on,
Like I said, this is a complete misnomer about saving the shelter. We are saving the shelter. If you want to read, you can go back, you can watch meetings, you could read all the newspaper articles, and like I said, there was a woman who got up here earlier and she had the courage to speak about it and was shot down. And it doesn't matter how many times folks roll their eyes about that.
Folks,
She read to you from the record.
Mayor, we're rehashing things that have been said many, many times. Ma'am, your time is up.
Oh, my God.
Your time is up, I'm sorry, okay?
Mr. Coleman?
Your time is up, ma'am.
Mr. Coleman?
Just a minute,
And that
Jim.
was just the question,
Just
the
a
last
minute.
question I had about the petition. How does that work? Because I didn't know what was going on.
Well, you can speak to the clerk, give him a call, he'll explain it to you, okay?
Okay, so we're supposed to be
Thank you.
voting on. Okay. All right.
Thank
you.
Mr. Coleman, if I may.
Go ahead.
If I can get just a tenth of the time the mayor takes during public comment, it'd be fantastic. The shelter is effectively closed. And even when it opens up again as the county, it is not going to provide the same service to this community, to our pets, and to our tax-paying voters. All right? It's not the same. Sure, we're going to get dog runs, but guess what? We could have done that without the county. If there was a problem with mold, we addressed that without the county. We could fix the shelter ourselves. We don't need to give it to the county and lose some services doing it. Plus, it's still going to wind up costing us a bunch of money.
Which
Now,
service do we lose, Jim?
What I propose is that there's somebody here from
Which
Gordon-
service
from
do we
Gordon
lose,
State
Jim?
Animal Shelter that has a proposal that would save the shelter in its current form and allow us to make any changes the mayor deems necessary. But he has the power to make those changes. Giving it to the county is not helping anybody. The county doesn't want it. They said the only reason why they're even entertaining this is because they felt that their hand was forced by the mayor.
Okay, Jim, thank you, Jim.
Said if that
Thank you,
petition
Jim.
did not go through, that they weren't going to touch it.
Jim,
all right?
I think your point has been made,
What I
okay?
would like to do is that we have another summit where we get together and figure out how to fix any problems that the mayor believes are existing there. Not push it off on somebody else and keep the services that our town needs.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Julie Adamek, 69 Cedar Grove Road. I just want to bring to everybody's mind that this shelter is closed. So if people don't realize, we are paying, as taxpayers, we are now paying for a building that's closed, that's just sitting there. This foolish, ridiculous plan that was hatched as like some kind of a sneak attack, the real victims in that plan were the poor animals. And within several days of that happening, because of the lack of forethought, the lack of planning, there wasn't even a sign on the building, or if there was a sign, it was removed. No, there were actually cats that were abandoned outside the shelter that were found when the fire department responded to an alarm that went off, a fire alarm. So I think the public needs to know that their tax dollars are now being wasted. And with this ill-conceived plan to have the county that was hatched by the mayor for whatever reason and be taken over by the county, the taxpayers are still going to be responsible for paying for that bond that was taken out many years ago. But our animals are not going, from Toms River, are not going to be in that shelter. That is going to be a county shelter. So that means that any animal from the county, from neighboring towns, could be in there. It's not going to be just a Toms River animal. So the fact that this plan also was hatched during the height of kitten season just shows you the cruelty and the lack of compassion and regard for animals. Really just a despicable act, and nothing could be more needs to be said about that. As far as these runs that keep getting spoken about, I remember, and if my memory serves me right, many years ago when this shelter was being planned, one of the issues was the police department had concerns because they have their field nearby the location. And so the dogs being outside could bark and disrupt them with the training. Somebody else from the audience might remember that, but that's what I recall from years ago. I haven't heard anybody bring that up, but that's what I remember. So the last thing I'd like to say is the mayor in this instance is totally disregarding the petition process. The voters, the residents got the signatures they needed.
Shar, your time is up. Just a reminder, since this is your second shot, we're down to 2 minutes per person, okay? Excuse me?
When did that rule go into effect?
Before.
All right, those of you who didn't hear the great comment that Mr. Lamb made when I went to sit down, the comment was, oh, you lost your job. 40 years I was a lifeguard in Lavalette as captain. After the last meeting, when my daughter and I both questioned Mr. Lamb, apparently Mr. Lamb went home and cried to Daddy, who's a councilman in Lavalette, and the next day I got a phone call saying after 40 years I was not going to be rehired. That's the kind of man we're dealing with up here on the council. A big fish in a little pond. And he wants to carry it over here. Thank you, Justin. And as far as living, Justin, in your ward,
Yeah, Bob, go ahead. Let's talk about it, because law enforcement was involved, because you had somebody from your household peeping Tom, my wife, taking pictures of my vehicles. In fact, your daughter, I have a Facebook post, excuse me, I'll
Okay.
finish.
No,
I have a-
I'm
I have a
talking. This is
time.
my time.
Oh, is it, Bob?
This is my
You were
time.
asking me a question, Bob, weren't you?
No, I didn't ask you anything.
You lost
All
your
right.
job?
I did not ask
Bob,
you anything.
Bob, you have the floor.
He was
Councilman,
talking.
please.
He interrupted.
I'm not interrupting you. I'm giving you your time. Go.
Okay, so as we were saying last time, unless Mr. Lamb got immediately divorced, he was still living on Messenger Court after he got married.
You were spying on me,
So-
Bob. You were taking pictures of my car, Bob.
Councilman, please. Please, Councilman.
I got
Peeping
better things
Tom.
to do than that.
Councilman,
Last thing, Mr.
enough.
Coleman, is this. One last thing, Mr. Coleman. After I got evicted from here last time for being so put out over the fact of some of the nonsense, like Mr. Quinslick was talking and Mr. Lamb interrupted and was told that, no, Mr. Lamb made a motion, I went home and I paid attention to what was going on in the meeting. The people keep asking to have the videos put up. We've asked since day one. 9 minutes. 9 minutes after the last meeting it was taken down. What are you going to do about it as council president?
I'm going to look into it.
That's what you said every meeting. That's what you have said every meeting.
Excuse me, I'm going to look in to see why that happened. That's what I'm saying, okay?
So the next meeting when we come here, if tonight is taken down again, will you have an answer as to why it got taken down?
I will.
Thank you.
Council President, I'd like to say something to this gentleman. Sir, the meetings will never go back up. Never, never, ever. We could vote 10 times and all agree, put the meetings back up, because this guy right here forbids it, and he doesn't want the rest of the town to see what he's all about. It'll never go back up.
So, people of integrity are respectful, they're open-minded, they listen to the various arguments, and they respect the opinions that differ with theirs. I don't see much integrity. I can't include you. I don't see much integrity here. In fact, I see no integrity over there. I see no integrity over there. I see 3 people on this front over here, podium, whatever you call this, who have integrity because they vote and they do the right thing. They don't go to the puppet master. You guys are like puppets. It's really despicable. You're puppets. And, you know, this is a democracy. It is not a dictatorship, much to Roderick's dismay. And I don't know how much longer he's going to be in office. I certainly know he's going to be certainly a one-term and done person. And I think a lot of the rest of you up here are going to be the same. Justin, what areas do you represent?
I don't want to answer because I don't want you to say I'm interrupting your time, so I'll talk to you after the meeting if you want.
So, do you represent Silverton?
Well, no, I don't. I represent Ward 1. I've helped somebody in Silverton recently, if you want me to stay after the meeting. I've helped somebody in Silverton recently.
Nice. So, anyway, it's really despicable to sit here and to listen to the dividedness, the lack of respect that many of you have from the people who voted you in. You don't serve at the whim of him. You serve at the whim of them. And so that is what you need to remember. He's not your boss.
Sorry, your time is up, ma'am. Your time is up. Thank you.
Dawn Iverson again, 1520 Silverton Road, Toms River. So, tell me again you're not going to close the shelter? And then close it really quickly, like in the middle of the night with no time to prepare? Okay, I'm going to finish what I had prepared. There's an old saying that haste makes waste. Instead of making hasty decisions, leaders should work like an artist or a sculptor who cares about the end result of their work, making small adjustments, and then stepping back to see if that was the right move or if something needs to be corrected. Small little steps that can be undone if needed. The council has the responsibility to make sure that one person isn't deciding everything for a town. The council should be backing good, sound decisions and rejecting decisions done in haste that are not for the betterment of our town or what the people want. Members of the council, if we had more time, we could have gotten a lot more signatures on that petition. I implore you today to take a step back and think this through. Take a look at the repercussions for the long term. This is a shelter that was deemed necessary and built with taxpayer money because we are a large town and there's a need for it. We still have a need for it. Vote to reopen the much-needed Toms River Animal Shelter. The homeless animals and the people of Toms River are counting on you.
Dennis Galanti, Toms River, 1149 Cherokee Court. So I understand now that the council has 20 days to act on the petition. Now, the initiative of referendum is a form of our government under the Faulkner Act. So I want to know why, or what's been going on with the shelter being closed. Still talk of the county. What are you going to do about it? You have 20 days. Are you violating? Are you going to violate this statute, initiative or referendum?
That's the question.
Okay. That's a comment then. So who criticized you for allowing a resident to concede 3 minutes to a speaker? Were you criticized or were you told not to do that?
I was criticized.
Criticized, okay. But you wouldn't tell me, us, by whom?
You're kidding. It was several people. It wasn't just one,
All right.
sir.
You didn't answer my question at a $1.2 million trust fund. You didn't do that. I also would like to know what the opposite is of a sellout. What's the opposite of that? And thank you, Mr. Nivison. I guess that's a comment or a question. Or Mr. Pasquarella, one more. I know you don't like me. I don't much like you, at least I think. Okay. But you sit in that chair. Are you an attorney that is representing the council in legalese, or should you be running for council? You seem like you give us your opinion quite often. It's not about legal issues. It's about other things. Yeah? No?
Such as what?
Okay.
Such as what?
Time's up. Pete,
I'd have to go back and, I'm just asking you, well, I can't ask questions, I guess, so it's a comment, correct?
Thank you. Next person,
I'm asking
please.
questions, that's for the record.
Thank you.
Good evening. I haven't spoken at a township, well, then it was a township.
Excuse me, ma'am, your name and address for the record?
Maria Borga, 2407 6th Avenue, Toms River.
Thank you.
I haven't spoken probably in maybe 34 years at a committee meeting. Then it was a township committee meeting. I got to tell you, I miss Road and Light Body. I miss Joe Vicari, who I hardly ever agreed with. I miss those people because those people were much more respectful to us than you are. And when I would come to a meeting, we would have a dialogue. We could ask a question and have somebody respond to us. I was at the Board of Health meeting. The Board of Health told us flat out, the only reason they're involved in this is because you went to them, not because they wanted to be here. You told them you were going to close the shelter. And if we got the numbers in the petition, they would step away. And they didn't even have a final agreement at the time that they voted to continue on. The other thing is, I've been trying to call town hall for a week. Why can my phone calls not get answered? I can't get through to any department. I'd like an answer.
This is my second time.
No, I got it. Joe Coco, and you know where I live. Okay.
Give your address, please.
No.
State your address, please.
I'm sorry. 1611 Walnut Creek Lane. And don't count that to my 3 minutes. You see folks coming back first, second times. Okay. A lot going on, back and forth. I heard a suggestion this evening, and I'm going to reiterate it, and I don't always agree with him, but Councilman Quinzlick, he said, and I forget how you said it, but the bottom line is, let's put a team together during this time. Mayor Roderick, basically what I'm saying, you've got the 20 days, you've got whatever you want. Put a group of, some of the chosen people that have some information about this whole thing. Okay. I have nothing, in it. I mean, I do. I'm not saying I disagree or agree, and you've heard me say that before. But take the time out. Okay, because everybody could be sitting here all night till midnight and whatever. Let's kind of calm it down for now and put that little group together. Okay? Tom, I'm still waiting for the facilities management group too. But again, why don't we do that? Put it together. Okay? And I do have one question on a different matter. We show revenue in paperwork here for the golf course building and everything. Can we show revenue for zoning, revenue for code enforcement? Revenue for some of the other revenue groups that are there, that are actually making some revenue out there and working hard for them. And lastly, I'll leave you on this. I'd like to ask all of you to take a ride around town. Okay? There's a lot of work to be done in town. And again, coming off my time as in code enforcement, I'm seeing grass growing over almost roofs of houses. I'm seeing signs all over the place. And I think code enforcement can use a little more support now, through down to I think 2 inspectors and that. We want to keep this town beautiful. We want to keep it what it's been. And again, the years I worked there, we worked very hard, and we had support and everything else. So just take those comments and do what you'd like with them. But I had to get up and say it. Took me a little while. I had to strengthen myself. But
Thank you.
I said, I also do want to thank President Coleman. I met you at the health fair.
Yes.
Okay, and I want to say they did a great job with that health fair over at the senior center.
Thank you.
So I'm a senior, so I'm going to be frequenting the center.
Good club.
Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Phil Brilliant, 79 Holly Tree Lane. Councilman Coleman, I do have a question. I hope I can ask this question. Youth Services. The director was let go last week, and it's no longer on the website. Where did it go? Why did it go? And what are the plans?
Would you like an answer from the
Yes,
from the administration? So we had 2 folks. It was an 8-hour day for 2 folks. It was approximately $300,000 a year, and it had dwindled down since the Y Kids program started in the school. It dwindled down to 9 students or 9 kids. So it was costing approximately $30,000 or a little more to have a kid have daycare for 2 hours a day. So those kids can go to the Y. We did not want to shut it down during the school year, so we continued to absorb the cost since January, but it's certainly not commensurate with the cost of the service, and the service is available through the Y, and the Y can use the revenue. So we didn't have need for those positions anymore, and frankly, an 8-hour day and contact with kids for only 2 hours is just not a good use of money or funds. So one of the employees has been transferred over currently to recreation, but we certainly didn't need a supervisor or an additional management position for that. So that's why it's just all about using tax dollars wisely, which is what we ran on, and we're delivering on that promise.
And so the summer campers are under recreation now?
Summer camp has always been part of recreation. So this youth services is an offshoot, right, of recreation, and it was put into effect at one point in time when there was no Y Kids and there was no program in the school. And at one time, I believe there were like 300 kids. Now we're down to 9. So, it doesn't justify $300,000 worth of expenses. It's just, you could send the kids to college. So that's why we won't be bringing that program back in the fall. It's an administrative decision. We spoke, Council President and I, actually multiple members of council. We've discussed it in depth. Again, we waited to make sure the kids got all the way through, but no sense in starting that back up again next year. As you may know, like I said, the Y has need for funding. So,
Can I just get 1 minute?
Go.
Okay.
Just maybe. I'm not going to get criticized for this, am I? Go ahead, Phil.
I'll ask Mayor Roderick if it's okay that I have 1 minute because you took my time. I'll just take one. I asked the question, so you answered it. Yeah.
I'm okay with you getting the time, but theoretically, I didn't take your time. I answered your question. You asked the question, so.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We'll go semantics. I'll just take
And,
1
and you
minute.
do get up like 3 or 4 times, so you do get an awful lot to say. You're a man of many words.
I'm
I think
not-
you sent me and the rest of the council like a 3-page letter in font 9. It was a lot.
It's a lot, and I'm going to tell you
gotta
about it
get
right
a
now.
hobby. I'm telling you, you got to get a hobby.
I have plenty of hobbies.
Part-time job, something. You got to find something to do with your time.
I
I'm
did get
just
your
saying.
letter to my house too, Phil.
All right, come on.
I did get
go,
your letter
go,
to my home.
Go, Phil.
Okay.
I did. Did you send it to my house?
Go.
Real quick, I sent it to everybody's home. I'm going to talk real quick. I sent it to all the council. It was in the patch. Everybody got it. I want to make sure you saw it because my concern, and it's been talked about here tonight, are the animals and the shelter because they were abruptly removed, okay? Work could have been done. There's no construction plans. This council hasn't approved anything yet as far as what will happen with the shelter. It could be months, it could be a year, whoever knows what it is. I haven't seen anything on the agenda yet. We'll see what ends up happening. Moving the animals out 6 days after the petition was put in, to me, was a vindictive act. And right now we have talk about the kittens that were left there, nobody knew about it. I hope, and this is just a recommendation, that we have the air conditioner on the building because you're growing mold every day. So let's make sure the air conditioner's on even though it's empty. And it's already been said by the health department that shelter is needed open. So if you can reopen it until you start construction or whatever your plans are, it needs to be done for this community and those animals. Thank you.
Brian, B2 Consulting Group. I'm going to get through this relatively quickly because usually this takes me about 45 minutes to an hour. As was noted, that's why I got 2 minutes. As was noted earlier, you all received a proposal today from an organization that's a 501c3 nonprofit that is willing to step in and take over the rescue, that is willing to step in and take over the shelter. Your constituents have already made very clear that they don't want it going to the county. Sir, I hear you. Thank you. The availability that we have, this organization can step in. The municipality will not lose any services that were already available to the residents. They will gain significantly more programs that will be available to the residents, and it will be worth it to you as a council and your residents itself. I'm going to give the clerk a copy of that proposal. I know it was already submitted to the rest of the council. As was said before, there are licenses for every animal in the town. The latest numbers from, unfortunately, 10 years ago from the last pet census has dogs at around 14,500, has cats at about 15,500. Your rates are there. That's a yearly rate, that's a yearly income that the town has that would generally cover the cost. Those costs go into your animal trust account that must be used solely for animal-related services, animal control, rabies, and any other, and generally shelter intake. Those are continuous funds that the town has itself. I also did, which generally I would bill this to a town, I'm going to give it to you guys for free, a cost analysis that what it would generally cost based on the numbers that are readily available to the public between you guys going to A Academy, between the cost of medical that would be in the contract with the shelter, that the town would be responsible for any medical costs post 7 days, as well as the cost of the shelter intake. This is also going to your clerk.
Okay, and you're done. Thank you.
Can I ask one question?
No, you're
2
done.
seconds.
No, you had your time. I told you how much time you had, all right? Yes, ma'am.
Irene Watson, Messenger Street. A couple of things on the law. The gentleman that just spoke, the last time he spoke, was talking about dog runs and something with Monmouth County. From the New Jersey Administration Code, Title 8, Health, Chapter 23A, Animals Facility Operations, blah, blah, blah. Adult dogs shall be exercised in runs at least twice a day or walked on a leash for at least 20 minutes per day. Thank you to your wife. Another law is the hours for public access shall be at least 2 hours each business day, Monday through Friday, 2 hours on Saturday and Sunday, and that is for people to come in and try and adopt an animal. Another law is you must have a license to take in wild animals. if the Toms River Animal Shelter is taking in raccoons and squirrels and the like, yes, you can keep them for a little while, but it is by law you must find another place for them. This was brought out by the Ocean County Animal Shelter. It says it takes in wild animals, but finds an appropriate placement for it because a license is needed. Okay, now, I would love to have a rewind. I did not sign the petition for the animals because the posters that were being presented were very negative, really bashing the Ocean County Animal Shelter as a place that euthanizes animals, telling the mayor that he just would, I guess, love to kill animals. It was just so negative. Have a rewind. I agree, people should all get together and want the best for the animals. Have a rewind. Rewrite your posters.
Ma'am,
Have
your time is done. I'm sorry.
Positive statements
Your time
to
is
make.
done, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick. I'm sorry, what was your name? I'm sorry. Your name? Eileen? Ms. Watson?
Irene Watson.
Irene, I'm sorry. Mr. Roderick's right. I mean, you're up here all by yourself. You're very brave for doing that. You're the only one that really stands in opposition of that. And with all due respect, there's 50 other people doing the same thing on the opposite side, and he can't give them that same due respect. But I appreciate your opposing view.
Thank you. Okay, we have to move on, ma'am, please.
What do you mean by
Moving
that?
on. Moving on. This guy doesn't think he's going to get a third job.
Hi.
No, he's not.
Dawn Lazar Fidela again, 752 Jacqueline Court. I want to cite a quote that was actually from the mayor himself, aired on Channel 12 News the day the shelter closed. It was an interview with Jim Murdoch, and he explicitly stated, "We are not closing the shelter. It's a beautiful building, brand new, only a few years old." Well, it's closed, and we're being told it's for construction. What is actually needed, we're being told dog runs, mold and stuff from 2022 keeps coming back up, all issues that have been fixed. So there's really nothing to keep the shelter from functioning. As Brian had mentioned, it is modeled after Monmouth County SPCA. So right now, animals are getting diverted to county, and they're full, and I think that's a problem, because it will lead to euthanasias. And I know people might not like the signs that were out there, but that's the truth. Animals are gonna die because there's no place for them to go while our shelter sits empty. So these are rhetorical because I know no one can answer them, but I wanna know what the plan is. When does the construction start? To my knowledge, I haven't heard any plans come up for approval. Could it be because we have a legal petition that hasn't been addressed? I wanna know if that's gonna be addressed, because we worked pretty hard to get those signatures, and let me tell you, this isn't an issue just affecting Toms River, it's affecting the entire county. And if we could have had other county residents sign, we probably would have had 10,000 signatures, because people were pissed off that they couldn't sign. Again, all rhetorical questions, but I think the council here, and I'm gonna address the whole council, as well as the mayor and whoever, you all need to start answering questions, because we just keep getting the runaround, and it's not right. I want to address the last woman who stood up to talk about wildlife. I'm guessing, and no disrespect, she probably hasn't set foot in the shelter. I volunteered at the shelter for 6 months, and a lot of times I was there working full shifts.
Ma'am, your time is up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Your time is up, ma'am. Out of fairness, your time is up. Sir, we don't do 3 times, okay? If you have something do you want to address, then you can go to and make an appointment with administration. Sir?
Sure. Dan Kessel, 101 Dewey Drive.
Welcome back, Mr. Tessa.
Yeah, so it's been a while since I've
been a
been
while.
on this microphone. Yeah, 4 months, not fun. So I'm going over these numbers, and my main goal, I wasn't really going to speak tonight. I was going to let the animal shelter and let that go tonight, but I just couldn't wait a month before the next meeting. So I kind of had no choice but to come up. But I'm looking at these numbers, and I guess now that my case is over, I can say a few more things. It looks like the building permits for May was 250,000.
Mr. Tessa, you want to speak into the mic so
Was
that it's recorded?
250,000 for the month of May. Well, when I was operational back in 2021, in an 8-hour event in South Toms River, Bud Hub did $125,000 in sales and paid for the fireworks in one day. You guys are arguing over here over $500,000, so just to make a point, for an animal shelter. We could pay for that on a Tuesday. Our numbers are bigger daily than every number would be for the month in each of these categories. The main goal today would be to ask you guys to at least reconvene the cannabis committee that was together, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Dan? Something like that?
I refuse to be on that committee, so I don't know when it started or when it ended.
You guys have the power up there to reopen that committee. South Toms River is delivering now. I'm sure you guys have seen that. Their operation is, it's here. We're not stopping it. It's here.
Are
We're
you
losing a lot of
operating
money.
down there or no?
What?
Are you operating in South Toms River?
No, I'm not.
You want it to operate here or?
I would like to
Because
operate
it's not
in
allowed
Toms
here.
River. Well, I know. That's why I'm here talking to you guys, trying to.
You could always try
70%.
South Toms River.
South Toms River is on shaky ground. Let's just put it that way.
Could I just intercede here for a second? I have 5 children.
Yeah.
And 3 grandchildren, all in this area. And there's not a day in the rest of the time that I'm alive that I would ever vote for putting marijuana, pot, whatever you want to call it.
You're only here for 6 more months.
I know. Thank God, because this is really a challenge.
But you just voted yes for alcohol.
I could tell you.
You
I would
just voted
never,
yes for an alcohol.
I would never.
But you just voted yes for alcohol.
My grandchildren are not going to school and picking up a bottle of booze and drinking it in the school. That's not the way that things are
about? If we
It'll
could
never
raise arms now,
It'll
more
never
people
ever
raise
have
their
my
hand for a
vote. So
dispensary
for
in
6
town.
months, you know it's never going to happen.
I don't need your vote. You only need 4 votes. Justin, can you put a motion into at least reopen the cannabis committee?
I've talked to you before. I said I'll certainly have discussions with you, but I don't know at this time that the township is ready for that. And again, my profession as a police officer.
It's already
I'm not-
here.
I can't.
But it's here already. But it's here already. I mean, it's about to be changed to a Schedule 3, so you may not have an option very much longer when it just may be here without you
Sir,
guys having
your
to say
time is,
so.
your time is up. Thank you.
But you did just vote for alcohol.
Remember, you're on a 2-minute because you've been up here before.
Julie Adamek, 69 Cedar Grove Road. I'm really just up here to comment about the wildlife situation that was brought up by Ms. Watson. That was covered in numerous prior council meetings by the rehab people that came to the meeting from various locations across the state. But that the Toms River Animal Shelter has only taken in these animals for wildlife on a temporary basis. And as these rehabbers indicated in these prior meetings, it was when these rehabbers were filled to capacity, they kept them on these animals on a temporary basis and then transferred them over once an opening became available. So I want people that are in the audience that may have not attended one of these other meetings to be aware of that fact, because if they went by the prior information, they would get that was misinformation.
I just want to make an announcement that after Carlos speaks, I'm going to have a motion to close the public comment portion of the meeting. We've been at this quite a bit, and I think we're just getting repetitive now. But so anyway, go ahead, ma'am, you're on.
I just really only have a statement. I am.
We have your name and address for the record,
I'm
please.
sorry. Kelly Finley-Volk, 32 Woodridge Avenue. I want to thank everybody for listening about the shelter and the good times. But I just want to know, would the council commit to meet with the rescue group within the 20 days before they must vote on the petition? To hear out the group that is willing to help out. They have all the numbers. They've done their due diligence. I'm not looking actually for an answer, but I would like for you guys to consider at least meeting and maybe come to a peaceful resolution. That's it. Thanks.
Carlos Amansar, Winterhams. I gotta say, I'm a little bit prouder. First and foremost,
I don't like that you said Jack Daniel. Do you know that's responsible for most of the death in our town, DWI? Do you know that a police officer just got awarded an award for most DWI in our town that creates the most death in our town? Ask your son, personally. Now, yes. So, now, sir.
Do you know my son?
I know almost everybody in this town,
Do
sir.
you know my son? My son is a person that you've had experience with.
Like I said, sir, DWI is the worst. Alcohol is the worst in our street because it leads to harm drugs. Alcohol leads to drugs, cocaine, crack. You know why? Because after you get your little drinks, that's what you take. I live in the hood. Remember that. Now, ready? Oh, so you should come to my house.
I have never had an alcohol-related accident.
No? Our town is known for. I'm 37.
Not me.
No?
No, never had one.
Well, sir, you should be more involved in our town. Now, let's leave it like that. Because you're leaving, and we need our town to open their mind. We're moving forward. We cannot be behind. South Towns River, they taking all that tax. We could put that tax to where your wife is working. We got a 9-point-something increase in our taxes, right?
We don't support that. My wife doesn't support that.
I know she doesn't. Yeah, but well, that's what I'm saying.
I don't support that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. We should be working towards that so we can put that money. Because my son starts school next year. He's a special ed student. I want to make sure that my son has the education that everybody at the other side of the island have. So I want you to work for this side of town too, not your side, Towns River. Because you guys are here not just for one side. You guys are here for Towns River. And if this is what's going to happen, guys, I got a pair of gloves. I wanted to put it up, and now I'll get my grandpa. Because we need to move forward, guys. It's the end of the year, half of the year already. I want to know what you guys are going to do educational-wise. Mayor, on the property downtown, I agree. We needed to buy it before somebody else did. It's a nice property. Plus, I know something else that is going around there as well. But now, I believe you guys got to work together. Because you guys looking over here like crazy. And I know you guys are a good team. I know we can make a lot of money together. We just got to remember, this is 2024, not 1800, sir. And I don't approve of the Jack Daniel.
Tony, just 1 second. Folks, I know I said that Carlos was the last speaker. Is there any objection to give Tony 2 minutes? All right, Tony, you're on.
Tony Rivoli, 1850 Hooper Avenue. I just want to say cannabis creates a big problem for bar owners. We have somebody have a drink, they go outside, they think they could smoke weed, and they come back in and they're stumbling all over the place. So thank you for that. It creates a big problem for us. They don't like to hear that, but that's the facts. I'm there 7 days a week in my business for the past 14 years, and that's just a big problem. Dan, I have a little advice for you. The animal shelter. Both my grandsons play hockey at the ice rink. And before you took over, it was dumpy. And I told you, since you took over, the ice rink is great. Cleaned up, did a good job. I think you could do the same thing with the animal shelter.
That's what
I
we're gonna
think
do.
if you put the right people in place, if you can do it.
But you do know, you're saying about putting the right people in place. The county has an extensive system. They have all kinds of outreach. I don't hear about anybody protesting at the county because they do a great job. They place animals. They have a very low kill rate, great outreach. They bring in a vet. We're going to upgrade the facility. They have the resources. They have the personnel. They have the expertise. So it's much easier. Like, you're a businessman. You know, you can't make everything, right? Certain things you find somebody who does it better, and then you take that product and you sell it yourself. And it's the same concept. You know, sometimes it's just not worth us being in a business if someone else is willing to do it for free. I mean, that's the end of the day. The end of the day is they do a better job. They do a better job, but you see, every time we go to speak, we have these activists yell out. It's not only here in Toms River, it's all over the country. No one gets an opportunity to give their side when people yell out and scream out. And see what I mean? Yelling, shut up, and it's everywhere. But anyway, what I'm saying to you is it's going to save us close to $1 million a year. They're going to do a better job, and everyone in this room that owns a home is paying property taxes and a good piece of that is county property taxes. So if we're already paying, and they're willing to take it over
Ma'am.
and do a
ma'am,
better job.
Ma'am, stop.
See, that's what I mean, Tony. Tony, anytime you want to talk, we can talk, but as long as there are activists like this that scream out, there's very little reason for me to respond. Like I said, I'll be here after the meeting if you want to talk.
I can't say what the county would do, but I know with my experience with the ice rink, I think you could do a great job with it too. And it's a personal issue. It seems like it's really personal in this town, and people are passionate about it. I'm just saying, maybe you should just think about it a little bit. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you.
And thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to have a motion to close the public.
Motion to close public.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make that motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.